CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock on this Tuesday, August the 11th. A day that's going to be sunny again, a little breezy off the water, highs of 22. In fact, it looks just like yesterday. Full forecast to come right now. Let's say good morning to and get the news from Lisa Best.
That's me. I'm here for you. BC wildfire update to start. 101 wildfires burning in our province this hour. 46 considered out of control. There's been 4 new starts in the last 24 hours. None of those are on Vancouver Island. In fact, the single fire burning up island is considered being held. That fire started July 23rd. Elsewhere on the mainland, it's a different story, of course, and reinforcements are set to arrive. 100 firefighters from Mexico are coming in to help battle that fire along the western shores of the Okanagan Lake. It sparked on the weekend. CTV's Andrew Johnson says the latest on the situation, the RCMP investigation as to whether the fires may have been purposely set.
Neighbor's house is burning up.
New video is emerging of the frantic and tragic aftermath of whatever started the fire as it quickly began consuming homes west of Summerland.
It's like a freight train coming at you, the heat, everything. It's just, it's unexplainable.
An elderly woman died during the escape. Blair Duffy and his wife lost their home.
20 years of building everything we've built to watch it go up in flames in 5 minutes. Just gone.
So far, more than 20,000 people have been forced since their homes since this particular fire sparked on Friday. We're going to hear more on this from Doug Holmes. He's the mayor of Summerland. He's going to be live on CFAX at 8:50 to talk about how his community is coping with everyone out of town living in Kelowna for the moment. The BC government says the final accounting for the budget year ending in March shows a deficit of $7.7 billion. That's more than $3 billion lower than forecast. That's the latest fiscal update from Finance Minister Brenda Bailey yesterday. Says the deficit was $3.3 billion below the estimated fiscal year for 25-26 because of higher revenues and lower spending on capital projects. However, Conservative critic Peter Millibar says he's not impressed.
The deficit reduction that the minister is patting the government on the back for is about a one-time tobacco settlement that got booked and said over the space of the 18 years that it will be paid out in the first year. Ever-increasing ICBC revenues while we have ever-increasing case files in our constituency office of people not getting access to proper care or being cut off by benefits from ICBC under no-fault insurance. And those are the two main drivers. And then the cutting of another 25% of capital projects whilst also praising themselves for how they are, quote-unquote, building BC.
The provincial debt, however, is up about $700 million from the previous forecast of $154.7 billion. 6 island operations will benefit from a total province-wide influx of $30 million in federal funding designed to deal with the effects of the economic attack from the U.S. The hope is that they will improve productivity, expand into new markets, reduce costs, and build more resilient supply chains. Nanaimo Forest Products will receive a $5 million chunk for new equipment at the Harmac Pulp Mill. Shemeda says Canadian Bavarian Millwork and Lumber will get $1 million to install, advance, manufacture equipment, and pursue new export markets. Kota Aviation and Parksville also getting $1 million to purchase and install advanced equipment, and a third $1 million from Pacifican goes to Nick Steel in Nanaimo towards a new facility to produce metal decking, flooring, and other steel building components. And the BC Shellfish Growers Association, the Vancouver Island Economic Alliance, also receiving about $300,000 apiece. Federally, amid continued trade talks in Washington, D.C., there's no information reaction here at home to what life would be like without a renewed CUSMA deal.
Definitely don't need more tariffs. Anything, get rid of it.
I think it's terrible for our world economy. I think it's bad for Canadian economy. It's bad for American economy.
Canada could see a $271 billion hit to the GDP over the next decade without the trade deal. In the U.S., it would be a $1 trillion loss over 10 years.
A successful agreement would also support 137,000 additional U.S. jobs and 98,000 Canadian jobs in 2027 alone.
Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And entertainment news, Brad Pitt opening up or revealing to Esquire that he once experienced suicidal thoughts. When asked what brought on the trouble in his life, Pitt would only quote family stuff.
After the split, Pitt says he got sober and joined Alcoholics Anonymous.
But in a new interview, Pitt reveals he's now drinking again, saying, "I was sober for 7 years, and then I got back off the wagon in a more restrained manner. I got overconfident a couple times, went, yep, nope, not good for me. I can have a few, but I can't have a lot. I have to be professional about it."
Good point. That's your news to 6:05. CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you have enough insurance coverage to replace your home or contents if they were destroyed in a natural disaster? 63%, 2/3 say yes, 6% say no, and interesting, nearly a third say they don't know. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also the iHeartRadio app, and Lisa Best, your news time, 6:07.
Thank you, Lisa. Looking at 12 degrees right now in Victoria, eventually heading towards a high of 22, maybe a bit warmer with some humidity again. Today looks a lot like the last few days and like the next few days. Very stable weather continuing, and we'll walk you through it in just a moment. Right now, let's talk about the sports. 3.5 games back of a wild card berth. With 4 wins in their last 6 games, the Toronto Blue Jays continue their push for a playoff spot tonight when they host the Boston Red Sox in the second set of a 4-game series. Right-hander Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Jays, who won last night's opener 2-1. Vancouver Whitecaps action. They are wrapping up Leagues Cup play tonight on the road near Monterrey, Mexico. The Whitecaps, with 2 earlier Phase 1 losses, will not advance no matter how they do tonight against this Mexican pro club, the Tigers UANL. They still have a chance, though, to advance to the knockout bracket. The final 2 women's singles quarterfinal matches will be played tonight at the National Bank Open in Toronto. 4th-seeded American Coco Gauff plays Belinda Bencic of Switzerland in the first match, while 2nd-seeded Elena Rybakina faces 11th-seeded Naomi Osaka of Japan. And rain forced cancellation of last night's men's action at the National Bank Open in Montreal. It'll be busy for catching up. All 4 quarterfinal matches are scheduled for today to try to cram them all in. What else we got going on? Well, the Vancouver Canucks have hired Ryan Stewart as their Director of Hockey Strategy and Player Evaluation. Stewart joins the Canucks after 4 seasons with the San Jose Sharks, where he oversaw the pro staff in North America and Europe. He previously spent parts of 16 seasons with the Chicago Blackhawks, serving in a variety of roles from assistant GM to assistant coach. Won the Stanley Cup there in 2013 and 2015, and coming to Vancouver, like I said, as Director of Hockey Operations, Strategy, and Player Evaluation. That's your CFAX Sports at 6:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather now. The time is 6:10 on this Tuesday morning in Victoria. For the commute, the morning situation at this early hour, as it often is very clear. No crashes, no delays at all to report on our major routes. For the BC Ferries, 7 o'clock sailing coming up about half full. So still about half of the vessel available for vehicle deck space. For the weather forecast today, mainly sunny skies, a little wind off the Wantafuga Strait, more so in the afternoon, and highs to hit 22 degrees. Per usual, it'll be kind of a story of a couple of different temperatures, because if you're near the windy Wantafuga Strait, it's going to feel more like 18 degrees, but we do have a bit of humidity in the air, making it feel warmer with a humidex of 25. Increasing clouds this evening, lows to 14. That we'll see those clouds hang around sort of through the night into the morning tomorrow, but then we get into a clearer, sunnier picture for the rest of the day tomorrow, and the temperatures will be very similar again. Same story for Thursday, sunshine on on Friday, and then sunshine with a few clouds for the weekend too, and temperatures are staying very consistent right through. So yeah, stable weather through the week. Right now for temperatures, let's see what's going on. If we go to Shawnigan Lake right now, it's 13 degrees right now. On the Oak Bay waterfront, it's also 13 degrees. North American stock markets have yet to open. Opening bells going in about 20 minutes. So let's take a look at how things closed off yesterday. Here's Aaron Sousa.
Markets gained ground yesterday as energy stocks boosted Toronto's S&P TSX. It climbed 77 points to 36,458. Meanwhile, U.S. markets dipped, with the Dow down 60 points and the Nasdaq down 85. Markets in Tokyo are closed today for a holiday. Meanwhile, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong slipped 1.1%. Our dollar is trading around 71.74 cents U.S. New data shows auto thefts in Canada are falling, but the Equité Association says despite the drop, luxury vehicles remain targets. The group also says many Canadians still doubt the effectiveness of anti-theft technology. Cineplex is set to release its second quarter results today. It'll cover the period before Christopher Nolan's film The Odyssey took theaters by storm. The earnings come as the movie industry faces challenges as more viewers opt to watch at home. And in Vietnam, aerospace company VinSpace has partnered with Elon Musk's SpaceX to launch its first satellites next year. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. I'm Ryan. We've got Lisa. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm good. Over here. Yep.
Yeah, we've got also a situation we continue to watch in Summerland, BC. We're going to be speaking to the mayor of Summerland on the show a little later today about the fires that have been causing so much destruction. We keep hearing more stories about what's been lost, and the mayor has been bracing his community, saying that we need to be ready for re-entering a community that has been ravaged by this wildfire. His name is Doug Holmes.
Well, let's hear from him, because he was actually with us yesterday too.
You know, we're coping. Everybody's making the best of obviously a bad situation. The evacuation actually went incredibly smoothly for having no notice. It was just get out now, and neighbors help neighbors. We have a lot of older people in the community. The elderly were very orderly. The seniors' homes were evacuated. Until they get it under control, we can't really talk about re-entry. We're making plans of what that re-entry will look like once the fire is under control.
I thought it was really interesting when he was on yesterday. And he's sort of making the rounds because right now he's in a holding pattern, it seems, as they all are. He says it's really weird to see his whole town walking around the streets of Kelowna, totally misplaced. A lot of people just out with their clothing, their toiletries, and finding somewhere to sleep. But this is where a civic politician, really cuts his teeth. This is the hardest thing someone in charge at that level would ever face. And it's horrible. And I'm really glad that the help is coming in now, because they have 100 firefighters from Mexico showing up. However, a little too late for Summerland, it seems. So it'll be good to hear from him, because this is really day by day. And of course, so many people with their fingers crossed, hoping that their home was miraculously saved, even though, in many cases we're hearing that's not necessarily going to be what they're going to come home to.
Yeah. And a curious story as well I'm reading. Mounties in Penticton trying to stomp out misinformation about the fire in Summerland. I guess there's social media videos of a person that police say is a witness.
Right.
But I guess some social media posts are suggesting this is the person who started the fire, and they're kind of worried that this might be, vigilante justice might emerge or something.
Yeah.
So they're trying to just the way the tensions are right now. People looking for someone to blame for this.
Yep.
And that's another storyline that's there. So yeah, we're continuing to follow the wildfires, and we will be talking again to the mayor of Summerland later in the show, just to get a sense of how things are today. And there's other factors as well that are, there's so many different ways this impacts things. We're going to be talking to the wine growers of BC.
Yes.
Because this Summerland is right in the heart of wine country. What does this mean for BC's wine industry? Have there been losses there? And now, that's just one part of agriculture. We got Lana Popham, BC's agriculture minister, joining us because this is also an agricultural area.
That's a huge growing area. Every summer, people go there for their stone fruits. They go for just in general fruits, vegetables. Many people from here take a trip to the Okanagan to pick up things.
Yeah, just for the fruits. Yeah,
it's
totally
true. Like cherries, you think of peaches, nectarines, apples. And so Lana can fill us all in. What time's Lana on at again?
She's going to be joining us in the 8 o'clock hour, just after we give away the Spamalot tickets.
Okay.
Which is also happening today. So if you want to go see Spamalot, the Monty Python musical, which is coming near the end of the month to the Royal Theatre, we're going to make you perform a Monty Python sketch for us. We'll be doing that again. We did it yesterday. It was a lot of fun. We did this a few months ago, too, when we were giving away the Spamalot tickets the first time around. But just be warned, it's coming up after 8 o'clock, after the news and sports and weather. And then we will have people call in. We'll take a random caller. And if it's you, give us a little Monty Python sketch. And if you do it, we'll get you those tickets. All things coming up on today's show. But right now, to the headlines at 6:17. Here's Lisa.
We're still talking about where people went. The province says it has booked more than 1,000 hotel rooms to accommodate wildfire evacuees in the Okanagan. The BC government says the rooms are available in Penticton, Kelowna, and West Kelowna, while other group lodgings have been set up in the communities throughout the region. The Emergency Management Ministry says people in need of rooms can either get help at the Penticton Trade and Convention Centre and the West Bank Lions Community Hall in West Kelowna. The ministry says that the province's evacuee helpline received a record number of calls over the weekend after a fire forced thousands of residents in Summerland to flee, some with just a moment's notice. Elections Canada estimates that by-elections this year, you want to sit down for this number, with several departing members of Parliament, is going to cost us taxpayers upwards of $24 million. The agency says that while the cost of holding a by-election can vary, a single by-election costs an average of $2 million every time it's held. Carleton University political science professor Jonathan Malloy suspects the high number of MP resignations is linked to people being caught off guard by the 2025 election. And reported auto thefts are falling across Canada with a 10% drop so far this year compared to the first 6 months of last year. The nonprofit anti-fraud group Equate Association tracked the numbers in a report out today. It says auto thefts in this country is trending towards the pre-crisis of before 2021, when the number of auto thefts shot up during a vehicle shortage in the COVID pandemic. The association's Brian Gantz says the drop in auto thefts is encouraging, but luxury vehicles are still being stolen and their profits are being used to fund organized crime. That's your headline news to 6:18.
Thank you, Lisa. Now, you remember the story from last week about the Porter Airlines flight from Victoria to Toronto that couldn't end up leaving? It was going to be an overnight flight, but it couldn't go because somebody wouldn't put on their seatbelt. Turned out it was a toddler.
It wasn't an adult this time.
Yeah, it was a toddler and the parents, and they all had to get off the plane. And by the time it was all done and dusted, the airport runway was closed because I guess they don't go past 12:30 at Victoria. So
They close up.
Everybody had to just get off the plane and couldn't leave. Now this has been making national news now. This story has taken off and really got some life of its own.
And it's divided people on what
Really
should have
has.
been done.
And now, because I think a lot of people had questions still about what actually happened? 'Cause
Exactly.
all we know is that a toddler wouldn't put on his his belt. But what does that mean? What happened? Where were the parents? What were the circumstances? You kind of want to know a bit more information. We don't have a ton, but one person on the plane has been talking to reporters now, and there was a news story moved by the Canadian Press that shed a bit more light on it. I wanted to share some of that in just a few moments and get your thoughts at 7:10:10. So let's take a quick break. Traffic and weather. More on that next. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches. Joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Pick some up today at Thrifty Foods. What's going on the roads? Well, not a lot at this time. It's a very light start to the day. Not many people commuting, no crashes, no major issues. If you see otherwise, do text me at 71010. Pass on any traffic tips you can. But right now, it's looking clear. For BC Ferry, 7 o'clock sailing has lots of room left for vehicle deck space. And for the weather forecast, it's very stable. The weather's kind of looking like the last few days. Today, it's going to look fairly similar for the next few days. So here's the only bits of difference. Might cloud over a bit tonight and stay a bit overcast into the morning tomorrow before it clears up again. And then we're back into some sunshine. We'll see temperatures, holding around 22 degrees as a high with a little extra humidity in the air, but a little cooler by the water with the wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait. And that's just going to hold up for the next few days. But the only difference being, again, a little cloudy tonight and tomorrow morning. The temperatures overnight will be going down to between 12 and 13 degrees, kind of in that range. That also will stay very stable. Right now, it is about 12 degrees at the airport, and it's 13 degrees in Esquimalt.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
The story of the child whose refusal to buckle up prompted the cancellation of a flight from Victoria to Toronto last week. It still has a lot of people asking questions about what actually happened. Well, not that this adds a ton more information, but I was very curious to read this morning an article that interviews a passenger on the plane. Now, the passenger was like at the other end of the plane, so I didn't see it exactly, but it's closer than we've had before.
He actually thought it was an adult at first, causing a problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the way that this person's take is, the passenger's name is Aria Kozak, if I'm getting the pronunciation correctly. Sorry if I'm not. Anyway, so he's on this, he or she, on this red-eye flight. Done it a lot before. Just before takeoff, he notices the flight attendants starting all to rush to the back of the plane.
Right.
Then he overhears an announcement from the cockpit saying, Reminder, passengers, you must obey flight attendants' instructions. It is required by law. So that starts to be a bit of something's going on back there. I can't see it, but all these flight attendants are rushing back. There's this announcement. A few minutes later, another announcement. Passengers need to comply with flight attendants' instructions within 60 seconds or the plane's going back to the gate. If you don't behave back there, we're turning this thing around, is literally the announcement that the
it's not the first time
cockpit had to give.
But it's the first time a child.
Yeah. And anyways, so then, again, this person quoted says that's where they realize something's really wrong back there. Still can't see it, but then you see... they find out that what it is there's a young child, squirming, sliding down onto the seat in front of them and refusing to be buckled in. And the person interviewed said they assumed it was an adult. They didn't think at first that this was going to be a child. The toddler and the parent with the toddler had to deboard. They had the stroller in tow, says the person quoted, Kozak. And I guess after they got deboarded and they had to, the plane would have to submit different flight plans and all of this stuff, was going to just push them past the closure of Victoria's runway, which is apparently 12:30. I don't think I quite clued into the hard out at 12:30. That's when the airport.
Yeah, the airport actually does close. Most larger airports do not, but Victoria Airport does have 4 or 5 hours of downtime.
Yeah. So it doesn't quite answer some of the questions people have. Like, what caused this situation to get this far? How was the parent not able to get the kid to just sit and buckle up the seatbelt? Were there other circumstances? We still don't quite have that. But it was just a bit more information about what it was like, because even though the story has taken on national legs, it's all over the place. I think just information about what was actually happening on the plane has been fairly hard to come by. So interesting that the Canadian press did find a passenger who would speak about it.
Right.
Another interesting thing, the passenger says they've never had any word from the airline after the fact. No compensation for the fact that he now had to go sleep on a friend's couch at 2:30 in the morning. Like, how hard is it to go find accommodation when it's like the middle of the night, and all of these passengers got stuck with that situation? The person they talked to is from Toronto, so they're not from Victoria. It's not like they could go back home.
No one actually was compensated for, unless you have a specialized insurance, but travel interruption insurance doesn't take effect until those wheels are off the ground.
Interesting.
So even if you had travel interruption, which a lot of people even have on their credit card, if you have a travel credit card, that's on your credit card, and that would cover you. But I think this is brave new territory we're going into. It's like, what happens? Do they find the parents? Do they go after the airline? Does the airline go after the parents and subsequently, reimburse passengers? But and to what extent is this an unruly child the same thing as an unruly adult? Is it considered, a person is a person? If you're not seated and buckled up, then if you're not responsible for yourself, what if it was someone who is mentally incapacitated for some reason? You're traveling with a companion. Your companion should be responsible for you. So, your parent or guardian is it. And to me, that's where the buck stops. And regardless of the reason why, I understand if it's not a babe in arms, the person has to be seated. They bought the child a seat. So what happened? What happened with the parents? What happened with the child? And how did it escalate so much? Toddlers are famous for their meltdowns, but you still got to buckle up on a flight.
Yeah, and the way the person interviewed characterizes it is the kid was terrified, and so hiding under the seat.
Probably was, or maybe the noise and everything's new, and so it hadn't been climatized at all to what we're going to do, honey. Here, we're going to take this flight. There's various things that people do to try to calm their children down on a flight, but it's difficult because it's a whole new situation for them. And it can be it's freaky for adults who fly for the first time. So I feel for everybody involved, but I do think, especially for the other passengers, there should be compensation. The fact that the airline didn't cough up any compensation tells me that they don't feel they're responsible to.
Yeah.
So there's more to come from this story, because we've seen, how many times have you seen a child having a fit on a flight or in the grocery aisle or wherever? In this case, it held up a lot of people's time and schedules, including the airline. And that's a lot of money. When you do the math, I know Toronto Pearson, takeoff landing at Toronto Pearson even years ago was $30,000 per flight. It's a lot of money to hold up a flight like that. So who pays in the end? Because I don't think the other passengers should have to.
Hey, what do you think? It's 7:10. We can talk about it, but we'll take a break right now. 6:30 News with Lisa next.
This summer, 3 of Vancouver Island's biggest voices are coming together to make a real difference.
Get your tickets now for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50.
Brought to you by 107.3 Virgin Radio, CFAX 1070, and CTV.
In support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous all-new Kids Count program, supporting children beyond Christmas.
The Mega Summer 50-50.
Your chance to win big while giving back.
Buy your tickets today at CFAX1070.com.
Gaming event license 174660. CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:32 on Tuesday, August 11th. The day looks a lot like yesterday, and if the days before, we got some sunshine. We'll have temperatures around 22 degrees. Right now, it's 12. Full forecast to come right now. The news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Good morning. Heartbroken Okanagan area officials have been told wildfire activists need to prepare themselves for the level of destruction they're going to encounter after that deadly blaze in the southern interior that ripped through on the weekend. The out-of-control Bald Range fire is still burning on the outskirts of Summerlin, but it was moving away from town as of yesterday. The mayor there has told their 12,000 residents they must stay patient until it is safe to return again.
We're not going to be going home anytime soon. We're putting the plan into place so that we can get back home when it's safe. So we'll be organized and we'll know what we're doing. But the fire is still out of control, and we can't start that process until that fire gets under control.
A tough time for Summerlin. The mayor, Doug Holmes, says the blaze is on the western shores of Okanagan Lake. It's now 156 square kilometers in size. As of Saturday, it was 100 square kilometers in size. Doug Holmes is going to be a guest on the CFAX Morning Show a little later at 8:50. That explosive fire forced 20,000 people in total to flee over the weekend. Some scrambled to safety at the last minute. Dana Joint was bringing a birthday cake to her granddaughter's birthday to a family party Friday when the fire rolled into Falder, which is just west of Summerlin. She says the scene was chaotic as her partner and brother decided to stay and fight the flames. She said she tangled with police for holding things up. As they tried to enforce evacuation orders, she was briefly handcuffed and pepper sprayed, she said. Eventually, she said she drove out surrounded by flames. She said she got the kids and the vehicle out best she could. She said they were engulfed in flames on the road. Her van was scorched, a tire melted, but she kept going even with hitting a vehicle. She said there was no one around. Joyne said her daughter and 2 granddaughters were taken out by helicopter, and she credited her boyfriend and brother for using hoses to save their home, and about 4 more in the community of Falder. To Colombia now, where more than 100 people have died in that 7.4 magnitude earthquake that rocked western part of the country on Monday. The country's president has declared a national disaster with destruction reported in multiple cities, some buildings pancaked.
Buildings collapsing, people heard screaming and seen running amid the violent shaking. Colombia's Geological Survey says this is the strongest earthquake recorded in the country in the last decade. The death toll growing, children reported among the dead. More than 1,600 homes damaged or destroyed, according to Colombia's president. First responders urgently searching for people trapped under the rubble.
In Puerto Rico, the problem is water, the lack of it, including in the capital, San Juan. People have had to go without running water for 48 hours, 2 days at a time, in a mandatory rationing system. The island facing a crippling drought, compounded by notoriously aging infrastructure.
This dog rescue without running water, already using reserve tanks.
It's hard because, when you open that faucet and it doesn't come out.
Further straining Puerto Rico's water supply, extreme heat, and roughly 1,000 raging wildfires. It's the latest crisis for an island plagued by rolling blackouts and water shutoffs since 2017, when Hurricane Maria killed nearly 3,000 people and devastated the power grid.
Data centers are driving a massive construction boom, but many communities aren't happy about it. Communities complain of noise, pollution, and massive spikes in energy bills. These data centers use a lot of water to cool their equipment. Frank Wiley is Assistant Director of the Global Energy Center of the Atlantic Council. Speaking to ABC, Wiley says companies building data centers need to be transparent and have deep conversations with communities before they build.
Really, electricity bills are rising for reasons that are not only related to data centers. Also, we're looking at a lot of industrial manufacturing, capacity expansion, and electrification of various parts of the economy.
And entertainment news, legendary actor Morgan Freeman is behind a new album set to release this week that covers 100 years of the blues. The 89-year-old producer narrator on Morgan Freeman's symphonic blues experience features music from all-star acts like Taj Mahal and Keb Mo, as well as Stax Music Academy Choir. Here's the sound of Death Letter Blues featuring Taj Mahal.
She's a good old girl, gonna lay there to Judgment Day.
Freeman and his business partners opened a juke joint in Clarksdale, Mississippi 25 years ago called Ground Zero Blues Club. They did it to address the lack of live music venues in the area. That's your news to 6:37. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you have enough insurance coverage to replace your home contents if they were destroyed in a natural disaster? 2/3 say yes, 63%. 6% say no. And about a third, 31% say they don't know. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 6:38.
Thank you, Lisa. A quick look at the weather, where it's going to be sunny again today. A few clouds and temperatures in the 22-degree range. Right now it's 12. Over to CFAX 1070 Sports. Lots going on. Blue Jays last night. A confusing play in the 7th inning saw the Red Sox score on an inning-ending double play. But the Toronto Blue Jays still held on for a 2-1 win over Boston. Blue Jays manager John Schneider says he did not appeal the play because the home plate umpire initially waved off the run. And then when the run was made official, their appeal at that point could not be made.
Everyone was obviously affected by the call on the field of no run. So we didn't have any kind of countermeasure to that. So it was tough. But it's a play you don't see very often, if at all. And I'm just glad we got out with the win.
The win helps the Blue Jays keep their playoff hopes alive as they move ahead of the idle Seattle Mariners in the American League wild card chase. Toronto is now 3 games back of the third and final wild card berth. And Seattle Mariners not in action last night, so no results there. For things that aren't baseball, the Vancouver Whitecaps are still playing Leagues Cup play, although they're officially out. So they lost the first 2 games. They don't have enough points to move on, but they will wrap up tonight near Monterrey, Mexico. The Whitecaps will be facing the Mexican Pro Club Tigers UANL, and they still have a chance to advance to the knockout bracket. So there is something at stake in this game, just not for the Whitecaps. We have the Buffalo Bills responding to criticism over various issues at their new stadium by addressing them on a case-by-case basis. The criticism stems from NFL fans getting their first experience inside the $2.1 billion Highmark Stadium during the Bills' annual blue and red practice on Saturday. One of the larger concerns was seats with obstructed views. And the Vancouver Canucks with a new hire, Ryan Stewart. It was yesterday hired as the Director of Hockey Strategy and Player Evaluation. Stewart joins the Canucks after 4 seasons with the San Jose Sharks, where he oversaw the pro staff in North America and in Europe. That's your CFAX Sports to 640. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by QP Vancouver Island, working to deliver the public services island communities rely on. QP, better services, better communities. On the road, still looking very clear. No crashes, no incidents, no major delays. Starting to see the volume on the Trans-Canada Highway where they got to slow down through the bus lane widening project. You're starting to see some of that shape up, but otherwise we're looking very good this morning for the BC Ferries, Swartz Bay to Swanson, 7 o'clock sailing. It's about 60% full, still vehicle deck space left. And in the weather forecast, very stable, summery weather. The next few days are all looking the same. We got some sunshine. We got temperatures in the 22-degree range. A little humidity making it feel a bit warmer at times. I know yesterday, kind of later in the day, definitely felt that humidity. Quite a warm day by the end of it. But we're starting off with that slightly cooler thing. Overnight cooling off down to 12, 13 degrees, and that's sort of the situation right now. We're about 12, 13 degrees around Victoria. That's just going to keep playing out. The only real variation is maybe a few more clouds overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning before it clears up again. But otherwise, we're looking very much kind of the same for the next few days. On the markets, North American stock markets just opening right now, so I'll tell you how things closed off yesterday. S&P TSX was up 77 points to 36,458. The Dow was down 60 to 53,975. Canadian dollar at 71.8 cents US.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
So we're talking about the Porter Airlines flight from Victoria to Vancouver last week that ended up getting canceled because of what ended up being an unruly toddler, or at least that's how it's described.
Toddler melted down instead of buckling up.
Yeah, and the Canadian press found one of the passengers to speak to, because we haven't really heard much from what actually happened on the plane, and we still don't really know because this passenger was at the other end of the plane. But this passenger who the reporter spoke to had one big takeaway, which was he doesn't blame the child, because, as he put it seemed the child was terrified and kind of hiding.
Yeah, can't blame a young child for their behavior.
Yeah, and really feels like that's the way the story's kind of coming across, and wanted to give that opinion. A lot of people, though, texting in with some questions saying, like, hey, I have several texts that sound like this. Why weren't the child and parents just simply removed from the plane? Well, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. But the problem is by the time they got back, because I guess the plane had already started taxiing, or at least was getting close to that, at some stage of being disconnected from the terminal. So they had to reconnect the plane.
They have to get someone back at the gate.
Well, yeah, the walkway's got to go back.
Right.
They've got to get off. Their luggage has to be removed from the plane.
All those things have to be in place in order for people to step off the plane.
And then at 12:30, it all shuts down. So they weren't, like, at that point, they couldn't take off because they're past closing time. I guess the airport closed. That's why. So for those wondering, why didn't they simply take them off the plane? Well, they did, but that pushed them past closing. And several people saying this kind of comment as well. Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. It is sad to say nowadays parents are not allowed to teach their children how to behave properly without legal consequences. This is one of the results. However, the parents are responsible for all the financial burden to the other passengers caused by their child's behavior. And here's my thought on that, because I'm still reserving my judgment here. This is just my personal take.
Well, you have two boys.
I have two kids. And, I can imagine there being a situation, my kids are a bit older now, but when they were younger,
yes,
like I would never, whether it was in public or in person, start getting too physical with the kids. Like at what point are you just sort of out of options? If there's a child who knows, again, exactly what the situation was this a kid with heightened anxiety or some other underlying condition? We don't know that. So I can't even judge based on that or not.
Right.
But I could definitely imagine there being a situation where, like, other than starting to get physical and, like, physically dragging a child or, getting to a point that maybe might cross a line.
Yeah.
Because, we don't hit kids anymore.
Well, it's not even hitting. It's just getting really physical with them. To the point that when you get really physical with a child like that, or even an animal, they get ramped up further.
And then that can make it worse.
And the situation is worse. So, but the question, and I understand all these questions. My main question is, who pays?
Yeah.
Because this is ultimately business. And the airline is probably not. The airline has probably already crunched the numbers, realizing that we don't have to pay for this.
This isn't our fault.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing. And the pilot and the crew were just doing their due diligence. It's like, we can't take off unless everyone is sitting down, buckled up. So because of this situation, just like an unruly adult, we've got to go back and drop this person off. The timing of it has left everyone in the lurch. So...
Interesting to hear from a passenger, finally. Somebody on the plane has spoken out.
Tell us what you think, because it's worth the discussion, because... How do you deal with a situation like this? And would you go after the airline for compensation, at least for your meals and your room that you were put out for? Like, what if you were flying to a wedding or a really important business meeting?
You missed something, I
mean, everybody's got somewhere important to go to. So that's my question. It's not about necessarily dealing with the child. The child did what the child was going to do. Its lizard brain kicked in, and it's just, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And you can't push a kid. But... who pays? Because that's business.
6:47. Time for the headlines. So what else is going on in the world? Here's Lisa.
Saanich is getting a good chunk of cash, $600,000 from the federal government towards its asset management software implementation project, to coin a phrase. The infusion will help expand and integrate the district's asset management program. Saanich is moving into a digital software system that centralizes asset data, integrates technical and financial information, supports information sharing and reporting, so basically helping the community run a lot smoother. Workers at a Duncan newspaper say they're ready to go on strike Thursday. Employees at the Cowichan Valley Citizen say they'll begin limited strike action after months of bargaining between the union and the Black Press failed to hammer out a new agreement. The union says at odds with health benefits, wages, and changes to sales commissions. Those are the three main sticking points. Members of the Victoria-Vancouver Island Newspaper Guild say they've been offered annual wage hikes of 2% for some employees, but not sales staff. And the only person to ever break the sound barrier with a car is going to attempt to beat that mark again today. British driver Andy Green is set set to the land speed record. It's set to top his land speed record for a diesel-powered car that he reached 20 years ago, reaching 563.4 kilometers per hour in Utah's famous Bonneville Salt Flats. He returns to the lunar-like landscape today with a hydrogen-powered car to try to break his previous record. And that's your news to 649.
Well, you can keep the text coming in at 71010 about this plane situation. We can get to some of those a little later. I appreciate everybody's thoughts. But we are going to just change gears for a moment because we're going to do a lot of coverage today on the BC wildfire situation that has grown so dire for areas like Summerland. A big wine growing region. That's one of the things we're going to explore. We've got the Wine Growers Association joining us in just a moment. So that's next after traffic and weather.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches. Joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Picks them up today. Okay, on the roads, we're still looking fairly clear. No crashes, no incidents like that. A little bit of volume delay starting to build on the Trans-Canada Highway, but it's just people going slow through the construction zone where they're widening the bus lanes. BC Ferries, no sailing weights, and in the weather, it's looking very just stable. Kind of what we've already been seeing. We got sunshine for the next few days. We got temperatures into the low 20s. Overnight lows down to about 13 to 12 degrees, depending on where you are. And a little extra cloud coming tonight and into tomorrow morning, but then it clears up and we're just back to more of the mostly sunny skies.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
BC wine growers among the industries highly affected by the wildfire situation in the Okanagan, and the rapidly evolving situation means we might not know the full extent of damage until this is finally under control. But here to talk about what we do know so far, industry spokesperson with the Wine Growers of BC, Jeff Ginyard, joining us right now on the line. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing all right this morning. Thanks.
And where are you? Where are you personally, physically located?
I'm in Vancouver with my family right now. Although I'm in the Okanagan pretty frequently, I'm obviously not traveling there this week.
Right. Oh, good. So you're all clear. That's good to hear. Yeah. But many people aren't. And of course, we're hearing about Summerland as maybe the place to start with so much damage there. I know it's way too early to say, but you know what I think of when I think of Summerland? I do think of, the vineyards. The times I've been there, I'll get off the highways, I'll take some drives through the hills, and it feels like you're in the south of France or something. It's just such a great spot, and I've been really my own personal memory of Summerland is that. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about when I think about all the devastation that we've been hearing about and seeing pictures of. How are things going when it comes to the people you represent there?
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, we do have about 24 wineries in the Summerland area. It's one of the most beautiful wine countries in the province. I'll say we know for sure already that people have lost their homes. We've got even some workers that have lost their housing. We don't know yet if there's been damage to wineries. There's at least one or two that has some fire damage to buildings, but obviously we can't get in to look at those right now. We're also concerned with power being off and intermittent in the area. It means some of the stuff needs to be in temperature-controlled environments. So we're working directly with BC Hydro to try and get that back to spec. What's been amazing, though, is watching our community come together during this crisis. I mean, we've been, even on the weekend, when we started reaching out directly to the affected wineries, just saying, what do you need? On the other side of that, we had wineries up in West Kelowna and down the Soyuz and Okanagan Falls offering accommodation and transportation and equipment. So all that's been happening. And then, of course, on the other side of this, we want to know what happened to vineyards, right? I do expect there'll be some damage to the crops. Some of it will be burned. And then additionally, there could be some smoke damage, or we may even see some ash on the grapes that we'll have to deal with. But all of that's going to be for later to figure out.
Jeff, can you give us an idea? You said there was a number of wineries. Can you give us some names? Because we enjoy a lot of the Okanagan wines here, and we're feeling for them.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to tell you that in the next few days when we get some more clarity on it. I don't want to, put it out there right now which wineries are experiencing this, as people are literally going through this and trying to worry about the safety of their homes. I think the most important thing now, if you want to support these wineries, you buying a bottle of BC wine, particularly something from the Summerland area, will go a long way towards helping them. As you can imagine, these folks, they don't know when they're going to get back to production. They're going to have to assess damage. We don't know if tourists are going to be able to come back to that area for the rest of the summer. So this is going to have broad impacts that are going to linger for the next several months. So that's the best thing we can do right now, is just focus on the safety of people and their livestock, and then to pick up a bottle of BC wine from the Summerland wineries to support them.
That's a good point.
Question about smoke, because obviously right now we're dealing with, in some cases, flames that are causing damage. But I know that some years get bad for the smoke, and then that can affect the actual taste of the wine. Is that a thing that has happened at all this year or in previous years recently? Or does that become a concern?
Yeah, absolutely. So the issue with smoke is it depends on how long it lingers in the air, how much of it sits on the vines, and it also depends on what stage of development the grapes are in, right? And because what has to happen is there's some particles in the smoke that have to permeate the skin and get into the grapes. So we don't know yet what that damage is going to look like and how many crops are going to be affected. BC has 9 wine regions across a broad geographic area, so we know there's going to be plenty of wine across the province that's not affected. But I certainly think in Summerland itself, there's probably going to be some crops that are damaged, and some of those will not be used for winemaking. It will just becomes an insurance claim, which is so stressful for the owners and the winemakers who put their heart and souls into those vineyards. So we'll be sending in viticulturalists as soon as we can to assess that damage, and I expect it'll be weeks, if not months, before we know that.
We're going to be speaking to the Agriculture Minister, Lana Popham, a little later in the show. Is there anything that you would ask her if we could ask a question for you?
Yeah, we've been in direct touch with government and with Minister Popham's office, since the weekend, obviously, to do with this. I think the things we needed with government right now, first off, we needed accommodations for people. Government has absolutely stepped up in helping that. We need to get this fire under control. They're absolutely doing the work on that. But I do know we're going to need to look at, in the next little while, any sort of regulatory barriers that we can temporarily change. We've got all kinds of, regulations and policies of government that are up to discussions that the minister can help get over the line. At the end of the day, the best solution for industry is help us sell some more wine right now. Let's get through that inventory, because people are going to need some financial resources to rebuild after this crisis is done.
Jeff Ginyard is president and CEO of the Wine Growers BC Group. They're one of the sectors being affected by the BC wildfires. Checking in on them. Much appreciated. Thanks for talking to us. Hopefully we'll check in again and get a sense of things. But good luck with everything.
Thanks. Have a great day.
All right. We'll take a break. We got your 7 o'clock news coming up in just a few moments. But yeah, I've been, I don't know, just me personally, I just have all these memories of driving through these parts of the Okanagan, and wineries and vineyards are the thing that sticks in my mind. That's sort of the visual I think of.
A lot of people go specifically every summer to tour the wineries. Yeah. So the other shoe to drop is the tourism that we've lost here. And so help for the area will hopefully be forthcoming, because they're going to need support moving forward depending on the extent of damage.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a break. We got your 7 o'clock news coming up next. We got lots of text people weighing in on this Porter Airlines flight that was canceled because of the child who wouldn't stay seated for whatever reason. Terrified child is what we're hearing. People are giving their opinions. Who should pay for this is one of the questions we got out there. And your opinions at 7:10 coming up after the news, traffic, weather, and sports.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7:01 on Tuesday, August 11th. It is going to be another sunny day today. Right now, 12 degrees. Full forecast to come, but right now the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Wildfires are our top story again today. Canada's National Defence Minister says the military is ready to assist in BC's wildfire situation if the province makes the request. The comment comes as thousands were forced to evacuate in the area near Summerlin, 12,000 from that town, another 8,000 from the surrounding area. It's the Bald Range wildfire that grew rapidly, which sparked on Friday, triggering a provincial state of emergency on Saturday. Dave McGinty says the province made the request for assistance to the Federal Ministry of Emergency Management, but not yet for military help.
Canadian Armed Forces are on standby, are in direct, constant contact with our Government Operations Centre, our emergency preparedness folks, the BC government, their officials. So we have not yet received a formal request for assistance directed from emergency preparedness to the Canadian Armed Forces.
The BC Emergency Management Minister Kelly Green says the current request for federal aid involves securing accommodation for evacuees, especially those in the Summerland area. The owner of a mushroom farm in Summerland says that wildfire that triggered the evacuation over the weekend has destroyed his farm, although it spared his house, which sits nearby. Brian Callow says he stayed on the property for as long as he could until it was obviously not safe to do so anymore. And the fire somehow spared the home, but burnt down every other structure on the farm. Callow says he has the support from friends and family, including students who work on the farm, and some have sent money with no strings attached to help him restart.
We lost everything. and everyone's there to support us. I just don't even know what it is yet. We obviously want to try to rebuild, but there's nothing left, and I don't know how we're going to do it yet.
He adds he's grateful that his house was spared because it means his two children can still grow up in the home that they know. A new ban on off-road vehicles on Crown land across BC goes into effect as a result of trying to reduce the risk of wildfire. Forest Minister Ravi Parmar made the announcement yesterday saying all-terrain vehicles, motorcycles, and off-road side-by-sides are the focus.
Right now, for recreational reasons, these activities can cause fires. And so we know that we are in the midst of a very challenging wildfire situation here in British Columbia. August is the month where people are reclamating the most and going out and enjoying the beauty that British Columbia has to offer. But we would ask in the case of the Kamloops Fire Centre, the Southeast Fire Centre, and the appropriate parts of the Coastal and Caribou Fire Centre, that British Columbians don't use those recreational vehicles.
Closer to us, the ban includes the Coastal Fire Centre, but there are some exceptions here on Vancouver Island. It includes a portion of the South Island Forest Districts, including the area around Nanaimo, around Alberni-Claycott, the North Island Central Coast Forest District, and the Campbell River Forest District. BC's deficit has come in lower than expected, but still high for many. Finance Minister Brenda Billy spoke to the public accounts at a news conference yesterday.
The province ended fiscal year 2025-26 with an annual operating deficit of $7.7 billion, which is less than the budgeted number of $10.9 billion. Our debt to GDP ratio ended the fiscal year at 26.3. In sum, revenues are going up, expenses are coming down somewhat, and our deficit is lower than projected.
The BC government says that the revenues were higher than projected due to the $2.6 billion tobacco settlement and higher net income at ICBC. Overall spending was $344 million lower than projected. That is your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question we're asking, in light of all the wildfire situation in BC, do you have enough insurance coverage to replace your home contents if they were destroyed in a natural disaster? 2/3, 63% saying yes, 6% saying no, and about a third, 31% saying they don't know. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, Twitter X, and also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:07.
Thank you, Lisa. Right now, we're up to 14 degrees in Victoria, heading towards a high of 22 and some sunshine with just a few clouds. Full forecast to come right now. Over to the sports, where in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays, 3.5 games back from a wild card berth with 4 wins in their last 6 games, continue their push for a playoff spot tonight when they host the Boston Red Sox. It's the second set of a 4-game series. Right-hander Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Jays, who won last night's opener 2-1. Seattle Mariners off last night. Vancouver Whitecaps wrap up their League's Cup play tonight in Mexico near Monterrey. Whitecaps, with 2 earlier Phase 1 losses in the League's Cup, are not going to advance, no matter how they do tonight against Mexican pro club Tigres UANL, which still has a chance itself to advance to the knockout bracket. Tennis going on. The final 2 women's singles quarterfinal matches will be played tonight at the National Bank Open in Toronto. 4th-seeded American Coco Gauff plays Belinda Bencic of Switzerland in the first match, while 2nd-seeded Elena Rybakina faces 11th-seeded Naomi Osaka of Japan. Rain forced cancellation of last night's men's action, though, at the National Bank Open in Montreal. It's going to be a busy day and night today trying to catch up on it all, because all 4 quarterfinal matches on the men's side scheduled for today. Vancouver Canucks hiring Ryan Stewart as their Director of Hockey Operations and Player Evaluation. He joins the Canucks after 4 seasons with the San Jose Sharks. He oversaw the pro staff in North America and Europe with the Sharks, and previously spent parts of 16 years with the Chicago Blackhawks. He was there when they did their Stanley Cup wins in 2013 and 2015. So, yeah, he's joining the Canucks team as they get ready for the coming season. That's your CFAX Sports 2709. Lots of text messages about the flight with the kid who was unruly and the plane got called off at the end. People weighing in with their opinions after a little more information came out recently. One of the passengers has spoken to the media, kind of shedding light on their side of the story. What do you think? We'll get to your text at 71010 next. CFAX activity, traffic, and weather. Things are looking pretty clear on our major routes. No crashes, no incidents, and no major volume delays out of the West Shore into downtown Victoria, at least not at this hour. They're doing that smoke testing in the sewer systems around Rock Bay again. So if you see some white smoke arising from manholes or whatever anywhere, do take note that it's just some City of Victoria testing of the sewers. If it looks like black smoke that's odorous, though, they say, do call emergency officials. Only if it's the white smoke is it supposed to be there. And then for the weather forecast, looking pretty stable. We got mainly sunny skies today, tomorrow, the next day, really just right through the next 7 days. It's all basically mainly sunny. Temperatures around about 22 degrees as a high for the next several days. A little cooler by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. Could be feeling warmer on some days because there's a little humidity in the air. Today is going to be like that. It was like that yesterday. And there are a few more clouds coming in tonight, overnight, and into tomorrow morning than we've seen, but that's going to be clearing up, and we shouldn't see it really stick around. So that is what we can expect over the next few days. Right now for the temperatures, if you are in downtown Victoria, we're up to 14 degrees. It's 16 at the Victoria International Airport. Getting our first look at the markets as stock markets get rolling in North America. S&P TSX up 156 points to 36,614. The Dow up 213 to 54,189. The Canadian dollar at 71.8 cents US.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
People weighing in on this Porter Airlines flight situation. Texter 71010 says, hey, the child's parents should not have been traveling so late at night with such a young child. It's way past bedtime. The parents should be responsible for all compensation to all who were disrupted by their incredibly poor lack of judgment. I'm seeing quite a few text messages about that, about the timing. Like maybe don't travel with a toddler that late.
Yeah, but a lot of people feel they're going to sleep on the red eye.
Yeah.
So there's that thought process that the child is going to be so tired, they'll just fall asleep, pass out, and sleep until they land.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. That would be ideal, wouldn't it?
Parents that do that. So,
yeah.
We don't know the situation of like I'm saying, was a child, was it their first ever flight? Maybe. Was the child overtired? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's a toddler. They do these. They have meltdowns. They have a meltdown. They don't want to buckle up. And here we are. But my question is, who pays? All these passengers out of pocket because of one toddler.
Yeah, this passenger who was on that flight that the Canadian press spoke to said he has not heard anything from the airline about compensation or anything.
They bought a seat for the child because you have to. At a certain age, you have to have the child seated beside you. They can't be a babe in arms, basically. Here's another thing. What if it was, sometimes you can have your dog on the flight? If it's a smaller animal or a cat, what if it wouldn't go in the crate and you had to go back to the gate?
Yeah.
Right? So would that person be responsible for the pet? Yes. We would say yes to that, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that that's a person's responsibility? The parent is the guardian of the child. So I just find it really fascinating that it's a great topic of discussion because it could happen again.
Texter 71010 says, I always prepped my kids for any new environment or adventure.
Smart.
No guarantees, but it always worked for me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people again, we're missing some information. I think we're missing some information about what the situation was with this kid and the parent and exactly what was going on and if there were any other underlying circumstances. But this texter says, Porter flight, the child's parents should not have been traveling so late at night with such a young child. So there's another comment along those lines. This texter says, common sense, if it was me and my child, we would have disembarked the plane because we had no right to inconvenience everybody else on the plane. And I would have been furious if I were a passenger. Well, that is what happened. They did disembark. That is exactly what happened. The only issue is by the time that happened, the airport was closed, which I think is what makes this one such an unusual circumstance. Like, I think this stuff probably happens, and then there's a delay and the flight carries on, but we don't know because the flight carries on late. It's just that this one happened to bump up against the closure of the airport. That it's
if it was a larger airport, say Toronto or Vancouver, perhaps that they wouldn't close and they would go back and the flight would still take off. But so they didn't have the staff. When they're saying the airport closed, they didn't have the staff to deal with it too, because the staff they would. There's regulations for safety's sake, right? For staff on the ground, so they would not have the staff to allow the flight to take off again.
Texter at 71010 says, good morning. The parent is 100% responsible for the child. The seatbelt was never used. Therefore, the plane should have never left the gate. Well, we don't know if the child was wearing the seatbelt when it left the gate and maybe took it off or squirmed out of it. Like, again, that bit's missing. I don't necessarily know the answer to that, so I can't really tell you either way if that is what happened. This texter says, interesting. Transport Canada doesn't consider a very young baby as a passenger on a boat. Confusing because the baby is a soul, but it does not require a life jacket. Or are you talking about a baby, like, because a baby doesn't need to be, like, seat belted in? I don't think this was a baby. This was like a toddler that would have required a seat, is our understanding with this one. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for weighing in at 71010.
Did the child fly out the next day on Porter? That's a good question.
Yeah. No, it would be interesting if they managed to get it together the next day.
Maybe they rented a car.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah.
What would the parents have done if the toddler didn't buckle in the car? I'd be surprised if this behavior is new. Cars are different, though. Like, I could definitely see being afraid of flying more so than being afraid of the car. Anyways.
But if they've never been in a car before, never buckled in a car seat, they would be afraid of that because it's a new experience.
At least in that case, it's not 150 other people on the car. Anyways, you can text us at 71010. It's an interesting story. It's an interesting topic of conversation. Thank you so much for giving us your thoughts. I hope we get a bit more info because this story has really taken on a life of its own. It started as a little Victoria thing because, it was a Victoria flight. But now national media have been splashing this all over their newspapers or news organizations, and people are having opinions all over the place. So maybe some more info will come out. Right now, let's get to the headlines. It's 7:17. Time for the headlines with Lisa.
Well, from the turbulence in the air, we go to the roads. Reported auto thefts are falling across the country with a 10% drop so far this year compared to the first 6 months of last year. The nonprofit anti-fraud group Equate Association tracked the numbers in a new report out today. It says auto thefts in this country are trending towards the pre-crisis of before 2021, when the number of auto thefts shot up during a vehicle shortage during the pandemic. The association says that the drop in auto thefts is encouraging, but luxury vehicles are still being stolen and their profits are still being used to fund organized crime. Elections Canada estimates that by-elections this year to replace several departing members of Parliament will cost us taxpayers upwards of $24 million. The by-elections, 3 of them anyways, are happening at the end of August. The agency says that the cost of holding a by-election can vary. A single by-election costs an average of $2 million every time. Carleton University political science professor Jonathan Malloy suspects that a high number of MP resignations is linked to people being caught off guard by the election last year. And the province has booked more than 1,000 hotel rooms to accommodate wildfire evacuees in the Okanagan. The BC government says the rooms are available in Penticton, Kelowna, and West Kelowna, while other group lodgings have been set up in the communities throughout the region. The Emergency Management Ministry says people in need of rooms can get them through the Penticton Trade and Convention Centre or the West Bank Lines Community Hall in West Kelowna. The ministry says the province's evacuation helpline received a record number of calls over the weekend as fires forced some 20,000 people in the area of Summerland and around Falder to flee the flames. That's your news to 7:18.
I think by the end of the morning show, Lisa,
yes,
we will have hit $16,000.
Oh, we're there, eh?
I'm talking about the Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50. This is our raffle. We're doing radio station wide, not just here on CFAX, but on our sister station Virgin Radio. We've got CTV Vancouver Island involved. We're all selling raffle tickets for CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the Kids Count program, which helps kids beyond Christmas. And I'm looking at the jackpot total right now. It's $15,950. So just a couple of ticket sales away from hitting that $16,000 mark. I bet you it's going to happen before the end of the morning show. That's my bet.
Okay.
I'm not actually betting anything.
That's a good goal. It's good to have goals.
Christine Goodsir, who is the executive director of CFAX Santa's Anonymous, of course, is going to join us next. We're going to talk about the jackpot, what you need to know about the draw, which is going to be coming up at the end of summer, and also a bit more about where this money goes. If you're buying a ticket, you know, the winner gets half of it, but the other half going to CFAX Santa's Anonymous. And Kids Count, what is Kids Count and where does that money go in your community? Christine is next. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. We are looking right now at a very clear morning commute. It's looking fairly standard. No crashes, no major delays, no waits at BC Ferries either. For the weather forecast, it's also looking very kind of delightfully boring. It's just sort of mostly sunny for the next few days. Temperatures around 22 degrees is a high for the next few days. A little breezy off the water for the next few days, making it feel a little cooler if you're right by the Juan de Fuca Strait. Today we got a bit more of that humidity in the air, making it feel a little warmer. 25 is the humidex. It really kicked in yesterday afternoon, I found. We were starting to feel the heat a little bit for a bit. And then overnight lows down to 12, 13 degrees, sort of in that range. That's just kind of consistent for the next few days. The only real change is a bit cloudier tonight and into tomorrow morning. Then it clears up into some sunshine again. Right now, we are at 14 degrees.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, the Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50. Now at $15,950. That's the jackpot right now. Winner takes half if you bought your ticket. Christine Goodsir, Executive Director of CFAX Santa's Anonymous, joining us on the line right now. Hello, Christine. How you doing?
Great. Thanks, Ryan.
Cool to see that jackpot get up there as we're getting deep into summer.
And, just such a great thing to do for summer and helping our kids, have breakfast in the morning, food and fun. That's what this one's all about.
Yeah, let's talk more about that because as we've been talking about, half the money goes to the winner, half goes to CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the Kids Count program, which is how CFAX Santa's Anonymous helps beyond Christmas. But we help in a lot of different ways. You talked about food programs. Let's talk a bit more about that. If you buy a ticket and sadly you don't win, well, it's still good news because you're going to be helping out stuff like this. So take us through where it goes. Yeah.
You're still winning when you're helping. And so I love that part about this. And it's new for us, of course, but we started this breakfast food program funding this last year because there was a big gap in this for the food banks. So for Souk and for Goldstream and for Saanich Peninsula, a great demand comes the minute the kids get out of school, and all of a sudden there's no more breakfast program at school. So they're, have to have extra food with things like cereal, with eggs, with, everything that you could make breakfast with. And, that's what the kids actually have really great breakfasts at school, too, by the way. So when you start to add those kind of items up and fresh fruit and everything else, it hits the pocketbook for families that are struggling to get by.
Yeah, so those are some of the ways it's going to help out if you buy that ticket. And if you want to buy the ticket, Christine, a couple things we should mention. This is we're only selling tickets until 5 p.m. on Thursday, August 27th. And I hate to break it to you, but, the end of August is going to be here before you know it because we're August 11th today. So that's, let's see, it's just a little over 2 weeks from now is when we will stop.
16 days.
Yeah, 16 days.
I probably know the hours, too.
And it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a finite number of tickets. So, it could even sell out. So, you don't want to wait. And then we'll do a draw at 7 in the morning on Friday, August 28th. So, that is how this will work. We'll pick one of the numbers because everybody's buying these tickets. We'll draw one of the tickets and we'll announce a winner 7 o'clock on Friday, August 28th. But you don't want to wait because timing's running out. And if you want to buy tickets, talk us through how that happens.
You can visit CFAX 1070's website or CFAXSantas.com, and the link is right there, and you just go right ahead and make your purchase. Now, you do have to be over 19 to do this, and because it is gambling, really.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When you think about that, though, on the other flip side of things as well, is, our BC Gaming, it does help so many of our not-for-profits, and I just have to say it again, the need in our own province, and I know we lean so heavy on our donors in our community, but we need your help in our community and keep our money here, helping our families and children right here in Greater Victoria. So it's so easy to help. There's not one ticket. It only takes a ticket to win.
Single ticket, by the way, $10. 5 tickets in a pack for $25. 20-ticket pack for $50. Those are the prices. You can go to CFAX1070.com. Just click on the big button there. Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50. We've got 16 days, as you said, still to go, and we'll keep our eyes on it. And I'm thinking, Christine, that by the end of the show today, we'll have gotten up and over that $16,000 mark because we're at $15,950 right now. So. Fingers crossed.
And absolutely no pressure, but really what we need to see is about $2,000 in ticket sales a day to get this to the finish line. So let's try and do that.
Christine, great to talk to you. We'll talk again soon.
Take care. Thanks, Ryan.
There you go. CFAX1070.com or CFAXSantas.com. Go to either of those websites. Okay, we're going to take a break here. We got the 7:30 news coming up with Lisa. Top stories of the day, your weather, your sports, everything you need to know to get this Tuesday started is coming up next. Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot coming to the Royal Theatre this month. And CFAX wants to send you, lovingly ripped off from the film classic Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the Tony Award-winning Spam-A-Lot has everything you need for a great night at the theater. Flying cows, killer rabbits, rubbery shrubbery, and of course, the Lady of the Lake. Listen to Mornings with Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070 for your chance to win a pair of tickets. Details at cfax1070.com.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7:30 on Tuesday, August the 11th. We have another sunny day today. A little bit of humidity in the air as well by the afternoon. I'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you and good morning. A BC Wildfire Update has 101 wildfires burning in the province this hour. 46 of those considered out of control. There's been 4 new starts in the last 24 hours. A single fire that's burning on Vancouver Island is up island. That one started July 23rd and that is considered being held at just over 6 acres. Reinforcements are set to arrive today in the western shores of Okanagan Lake. 100 Mexican wildfighters are coming in to help battle the flames of that massive blaze that has pretty much taken out the community of Summerland. CTV's Andrew Johnson has the latest in the situation, RCMP investigation into whether some of those fires may have been purposely set.
Neighbor's house is burning up. New video is emerging of the frantic and tragic aftermath of whatever started the fire as it quickly began consuming homes west of Summerland.
It's like a freight train coming at you, the heat, everything. It's just, it's unexplainable.
An elderly woman died during the escape. Blair Duffy and his wife lost their home.
20 years of building everything we've built to watch it go up in flames in 5 minutes. Just gone.
There will be an update on the wildfire situation at 11 o'clock today at the BC Legislature. Officials will be speaking on the situation. We'll bring you all the details when they become available. So far, more than 20,000 people have been forced from their homes since that one fire sparked just on Friday. Canadian press reporter Brenna Owen is in nearby Penticton. She says the Canadian Armed Forces are on standby to help the situation if they're called up.
And National Defence Minister David McGuinty has said the Canadian military is on standby to provide assistance. He said they are in constant and direct contact with the BC and federal governments, ready to help the moment the military receives a formal request.
McGuinty says the fire situation in the Okanagan region is being assessed hour by hour. We're going to hear from the mayor of Summerland, Doug Holmes. We'll be live on the CFAX Morning Show at 8:50. And we'll also, before that, are going to hear from BC's Agriculture Minister, Lana Popham. She'll be live at 8:20 to talk about that area, which is a massive growing area, and how produce and wine, fruits and vegetables will all possibly be affected moving forward, including tourism, which is also probably going to take a hit with the fires. The BC government stopped short of a backcountry ban that some municipal leaders are calling for yesterday. However, there is a new ban in place for off-road vehicles on Crown lands across parts of BC that is now in effect to reduce the risk of fires. Forest Minister Ravi Parmar sharing details.
I think my message is don't be stupid. If you're going out into the back roads, do your part. There are people going in there for agricultural reasons. There are people going in there that are doing their part. But if you're going in there on an ATV, you no longer will be able to because of this order. And if you start a fire, you are reverting resources away from a lightning fire towards a human-caused fire. And I can't think of something more stupid right now, given the challenges we're facing.
That ban includes the Coastal Fire Centre, but there are some exceptions here on Vancouver Island, including portions around Nanaimo, the regional district of Alberni-Clayoquot, the North Island Central Coast Forest District, and the Campbell River Forest District. The ban includes all-terrain vehicles, motorcycles, and off-road side-by-side vehicles, anything that could create a spark. BC government created a bit of a spark and shock, says the final accounting for the budget year ending in March shows a deficit of $7.7 billion. Sounds high, but it is $3 billion lower than was forecasted. The latest fiscal update from Finance Minister Brenda Bailey yesterday says the deficit was $3.3 billion lower for the fiscal year 25-26 because of higher revenues and lower spending on capital projects. Conservative critic Peter Millibar says he's not impressed.
The deficit reduction that the minister is patting the government on the back for is about a one-time tobacco settlement that got booked and said over the space of the 18 years that it will be paid out in the first year. Ever-increasing ICBC revenues while we have ever-increasing case files in our constituency office of people not getting access to proper care or being cut off by benefits from ICBC under no-fault insurance. And those are the two main drivers, and then the cutting of another 25% of capital projects, whilst also praising themselves for how they are, quote-unquote, building BC.
The provincial debt is up about $700 million from the previous forecast of $154.7 billion. And continued trade talks in Washington today. There's no information or reaction here at home to what life may be like without a renewed CUSMA deal.
Definitely don't need more tariffs. Anything, get rid of it.
I think it's terrible for our world economy. I think it's bad for Canadian economy. It's bad for American economy.
Canada could see a $271 billion hit to the GDP over the next decade without the trade deal. In the U.S., it would be a $1 trillion loss over 10 years.
A successful agreement would also support 137,000 additional U.S. jobs and 98,000 Canadian jobs in 2027 alone.
Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And that's your CFAX News to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you have enough insurance coverage to replace your home or contents if they were destroyed in a natural disaster? 63% say yes, 6% no, 31% don't know. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 7:37.
Thank you, Lisa. Hey, it's more sunshine today. Temperature's up to about 22 degrees right now at Langford. The temperature's 13 degrees. Over to CFAX 1070 Sports. We've got lots of baseball to talk about because the Toronto Blue Jays continue their playoff push tonight against the visiting Boston Red Sox. Toronto's won 4 of its last 6. They sit 3.5 games back of a wild card spot after taking last night's series opener 2-1 in that game. Right-hander Dylan Cease starts for the Jays tonight against Boston. Seattle Mariners off last night, no score there. 2 spots in the National Bank Open semifinals are up for grabs today in Toronto. Kazakhstan's Elena Rybakina Rabakina faces Japan's Naomi Osaka, while American Coco Gauff meets Switzerland's Belinda Bencic, the winner advancing to tomorrow's semifinal. And on the other side of things, weather has created a busy day for the men's quarterfinal action of the National Bank Open on the Montreal side of things. So they've had rain delays yesterday. It's pushed everything to today. So all the quarterfinals are happening today. Multiple reports say CF Montreal has signed Chilean soccer legend Alexis Sanchez, the 37-year-old former Arsenal, Barcelona, and Manchester United forward, is Chile's all-time leader in goals and appearances. Sanchez will join a Montreal club that sits second last in the MLS Eastern Conference and is riding a 7-game winless streak. Speaking of MLS soccer, Vancouver Whitecaps wrapping up their Leagues Cup campaign tonight against Mexican powerhouse Tigres near Monterrey. The tournament pits clubs from Major League Soccer against teams from Mexico's Liga MX. Vancouver lost its first 2 games of this tournament, so they're already out, but they do have this last game just to play through. Tigres has a chance to advance to the knockout round depending on what's going on tonight. And that is your sports to 7:39.
Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Hey, text me at 71010 if you see a problem out there. But right now, we're pretty problem-free for the morning commute at BC Ferries as well. No sailing waits right now. 8 o'clock sailing is about 70% full. Still some vehicle deck space left. And in the weather forecast, today expect a mainly sunny day. A little breeze off the Juan de Fuca Strait, making it feel a bit cooler. So the temperatures, if you're right along the shoreline, could be about 18 degrees. But 22 is the high otherwise. And it might feel warmer and some humidity today with a humidex at 25. Increasing clouds tonight, lows to 14. We'll see those clouds stick around in the morning tomorrow. Then we clear up and we get back into a sunny day with highs of 22. So very similar to today. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all looking quite similar as well. And we have right now for the temperatures at the airport, we've hit 16 degrees. And it's 14 degrees, it's 17 degrees at the University of Victoria campus. In Colwood, though, it is 15 degrees. So temperatures are creeping up, but quite, a few degrees difference depending on where you are. By the way, Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. If you need a cab, download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. On the markets, we've got in Toronto, S&P TSX up by 91 points to 36,549. The Dow is up 59 to 54,035. NASDAQ down 19 to 26,585. Canadian dollar at 71.8 cents U.S., which is up a little bit, just a fraction of a cent from yesterday's close.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Texter at 71010 says, I just bought $50 worth to take it over $16,000, but somebody had done it already. Love it, says Sumit. Thank you, Sumit, for texting in. Thank you for your donation. We're talking about the Mega Summer 50-50. We were just discussing this with Christine Goodser from CFAX Santa's Anonymous. This is our big 50-50 raffle we're doing all summer long right here on CFAX. We were just about at 16,000 a few moments ago when we talked about it. And I bet you we'll get over 16,000 today is what I said. And now we are. 16,310 is the jackpot now. So the winner would take a little over $8,000. That's your 50%. And the charity, CFAX Santa's Anonymous, and their Kids Count program, getting a little over $8,000 right now.
I think as you said that, we went up $100.
Love it. That's so great.
Power.
I've been doing traffic. I also want to say that a texter says, good morning, just a traffic tip that Langford Parkway is still closed at Langford Lake Road. However, there's a detour that takes you around by Belmont Secondary and comes back down to Langford Parkway on the other side. I also noticed a bit of a slowdown on the Trans-Canada Highway coming in just past Millstream, but it was just because there was a police officer on a motorcycle pulled over on the side of the road with the lights on. There was no traffic incident there at all. I guess people just slowing down. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you so much. Yeah, there is that ongoing Fortis BC. They're doing a gas main thing along Langford Parkway, and that's just going to be a thing for a while. But yeah, good point. That is carrying on, so watch out for those delays. But good to know that the detour is working. We are going to be giving away another pair of tickets to see Spam-A-Lot. Broadway in Victoria presenting this Monty Python musical August 28th to the 30th at the Royal Theatre. We've got tickets to give away all this week, but we're making you do something. We're making you perform a little bit of any Monty Python sketch you want. And we had Liz, our first winner, yesterday.
She was fabulous.
Perform this.
Good morning, Mrs. Prentice. Busy day. Busy day. I just spent 4 hours burying the cat. 4 hours to bury the cat. Well, yes, he wasn't dead yet, but I thought since we were going away for a fortnight, might as well be on the safe side.
Oh, it's morbid humor, that Monty Python.
It was great. She just nailed it, though.
Such a great job from Liz.
It was perfect. So she set the bar kind of high.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
How could you do? Well, if you want to try to win tickets to see Spam-A-Lot, we will take a call right after the 8 o'clock news, traffic, sports, weather, all that. The number is 250-386-1161. We're just going to take a random caller. So call in, try your luck. If you are the one we pick, you got to perform a little Monty Python for us.
Yeah.
Do what Liz did.
Send you to the show.
Yeah. That's coming up. Right now, 7:45, time for the headlines with Lisa.
6 island operations will benefit from a total province-wide $30 million in federal funding designed to deal with the effects of the economic attack, the ongoing U.S. tariffs. The hope is they'll improve productivity, expand into new markets, reduce costs, and build more resilient supply chains. Nanaimo Forest Products is one. They'll receive $5.5 million to buy new equipment for the Harmac pulp mill. Shemanis's Canadian and Bavarian millwork and lumber gets $1 million to install, advance manufacturing equipment and pursue export markets. Coda Aviation and Parksville also getting $1 million for purchasing for use of aircraft and defense systems. $1 million to help Nick Steel in Nanaimo towards a new facility to produce metal decking, flooring, and other steel building components. And the BC Shellfish Growers Association and the Vancouver Island Economic Alliance also receiving about $300,000 each. Talking of money, new estimates from Elections Canada shows by-elections this year to replace departing members of Parliament will cost taxpayers upwards of $24 million. The elections agency says that while the cost of holding a by-election can vary, a single by-election costs an average of $2 million a pop. Those costs go up if a by-election is held anywhere. Somewhere in the GTA, though, is because of higher prices for facility rentals and advertising. Since the last federal election, 12 MPs have now resigned, 3 of them representing Ontario, and 1 here in the BC area, which is coming on August 31st. Cineplex is reporting an increase in second quarter profit amid higher theater attendance. The movie theater company reported a profit of $7.8 million in the second quarter, compared with a loss of $2.2 million a year earlier. The company also posted its best revenues for the 3-month period in the history of $383.7 million. That is a lot of popcorn. That is your news to 746.
Lisa, you and I have been having a few conversations over the last few months about e-scooters and e-bikes and all of the different rules and regulations around them, whether or not people are following the rules and regulations, learning that there are, different classifications of these things, different speed limits depending on which one you got. There's all these different rules. We've been unpacking a lot of this. West Shore RCMP have a couple of times over this year had to put out reminders to people saying, kids shouldn't be on certain one of these things. I think you got to be 16 and over, period. And even if you are 16 or over, there's different power levels of these things that you're allowed. For scooters. There's, that 30K speed limit. In some instances, there's a 25K speed limit. In other instances, there's a lot of things. There are many municipalities in our region that they're not even allowed at all.
Right.
Because they're not actually that legal yet. There's pilot programs.
It's like a big gray area.
Yeah, so some municipalities are participating in a province-wide pilot program to try to figure out the rules and regulations around these things, and it's all still kind of fluid, which is, I think, why it's such an interesting topic of conversation. The interesting thing, though, is we've been trying to further that conversation by speaking to the Ministry of Transportation. We haven't been getting much luck getting anybody to speak to us. We've also been trying to reach out to ICBC. They defer to the province since they haven't gotten any new legislative guidance. That's what we've heard from them. Anytime we get into some of the local conversations about safety hazards, we do get questions about if licensing should go further, what kind of regulations, what kind of enforcement is
safety
coming.
concerns, safety gear.
All that stuff, yeah.
Yes.
We haven't got much back from the province, but BC Conservative transportation critic Harman Bangu is going to be joining us in just a few moments with his take. What is the BC Conservative take on this, the opposition take? Do you think that we need to be regulating these things more? Is this a provincial issue that needs to be discussed? We're going to get into that in just a few moments, but we'll do traffic and weather too. So if you got a crash, problem, something facing you, or maybe things are just wonderful, you can text me at 71010. Let me know.
Turn up the summer vibes with Blackfly and CFAX 1070's Beachside Giveaway. We're hooking you up with the ultimate day in the sun package. Includes a backpack cooler, magnetic Bluetooth speaker, beach blanket, plus tank tops and sunglasses to keep you looking cool. Listen to Afternoons with Josh and Jade on CFAX 1070 every Friday for your chance to win. Details at CFAX1070.com. Must be 19 plus. Blackfly, Canadian born, Canadian owned, Canadian made. Blackfly makes it easy to find your flavor.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches, joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Pick some up today at Thrifty Foods. Things are looking pretty good on the roads. I did have that text a few minutes ago, just reminding everybody that Fortis BC gas main work is still going on. Langford Parkway still tied up between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. right along where Langford Lake Road intersects. But the texter did want everybody to know there is a detour, takes you around Belmont Secondary School, comes back on the other side. Seems to be working okay. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits right now. 8 o'clock sailing still has some room left, and it's leaving in a few minutes. And in the weather forecast, very stable weather continuing with temperatures into the low 20s right through the next few days. Overnight lows down to about 13, 12-ish degrees, except for tonight. It's going to be a little warmer tonight. 14 degrees will be our low, and a few clouds are rolling in as well, but they don't stick around. They'll be clearing up by afternoon tomorrow.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Texter at 71010 says, there are young people under the driving age who use dirt bikes along major roads in our area. They truly are a curse to people who drive a vehicle as they pop in and out from wherever they want. You're constantly trying to keep track of 3 or 5 of them. So this is a text message just on the topic of, e-scooters, e-mobility stuff, e-dirt bikes, which apparently we learned from our West Shore RCMP are not even allowed at all. You're not allowed to take those things on any road. I think that you could drive them in the boonies on the trails up on a mountain somewhere, but you're not supposed to drive them on the roads. Yet people do. And this is the thing. A lot of people are sort of hearing about the rules and regulations that are part of this pilot program BC's doing for these e-scooters, e-bikes, e-things. But
I like that e-things.
E-things. But, then there's the rules.
E.
There's the rules you hear about, but then there's the behavior you're seeing, and people are like, what's going on? So here to weigh in on it, I've got BC Conservative transportation critic. He's also the MLA for Langford Abbotsford, Harman Bangu, joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
Thank you very much for having me on. Just want to correct you. It's Langley Abbotsford.
Oh, what did I say?
You made him local.
Oh, I made you local. So I just got, I say Langford about 20,000 times a day, so I got it in the brain.
You can be local if you so choose.
Langley Abbotsford is the place. And by the way, in Langley Abbotsford, in that region, you've got several municipalities you cover as well. What do the rules look like there? Because I understand that, these municipalities have to opt into the pilot program for these e-things. Otherwise, they're not allowed.
Yes, that is true. So the township of Langley has opted in with the BC's e-scooter pilot. While on the Surrey side, I have a border riding right on 196, a part of my riding. And on one side, you're allowed, and on the other side, you're not. And the biggest thing with the e-scooters right now, people don't necessarily know the rules. You have to be 14 or older for light e-bike and 16 for standard e-bike. So there's a little bit difference there, right? Some of them fall under the e-scooter, some fall under the e-bike. And a lot of issues are regarding helmets. What I have heard from the township, talking to various counselors, Steve Ferguson has been very vocal on this in his meetings, and I actually was watching a few clips and some of the stories, and I track them down locally in the newspapers and kind of read up on what happened during these situations. So it is a very gray area. I think we need more education about the rules, how these vehicles function, both of them. There is quite the difference in speed for them. So there's a lot of education that needs to be put out here. And for municipalities to come now, they've ruled out these pilot programs. Maybe some of the municipalities need to get together and talk about how we can actually build on these programs and make it more safer and much cheaper means of travel for a lot of folks, because that's been the one thing on one end that I've heard a lot of the argument is, hey, it's affordable. I can get to the place I need to go. But we do need to figure out what are going to be the rules and restrictions moving forward. We need some sort of a platform.
Well, they are wonderful. Like we're not trying to harp on them too negatively, because you're right. Like as a great means of transportation with the electronic assistance to kind of help you go, you can get off the road, you can use a bike lane. But then once you're on a bike lane, should you be able to go like 40 kilometers an hour? So I guess that's where it's still a little bit of a Wild West situation that we haven't quite got our heads around.
Exactly, and there hasn't been some direct guidelines and rules. It's a pilot program. So with a pilot program, we should also adjust it and make it more safer just for the users and the ones around as well. Because, they do accelerate fairly quick when you're going off the line. And if a vehicle's coming to a stop, maybe we need to have more education on this, more local communities that can talk amongst one another and figure out what are the positives, what are the negatives, and then you make a consensus and try and work towards a better just rollout of it. Because right now, a lot of vehicles, I've heard from truckers, heard from a lot of other folks. I've actually had a couple coffee meetings in my ridings because some folks are really concerned. They think, kids should have the helmets on, and some of them, then again, e-scooter, e-bike, there's differences. So people get a little worried when they see someone on an e-scooter, but on the e-scooter, you don't necessarily have to have the helmet, but on the e-bikes, you must have it.
Actually, Harman, you do have to have a helmet on an e-scooter. That's law.
E-scooter, yes. It is 14 and over, I believe.
16 for an e-scooter, and certain e-bikes you're allowed 14, but you do have to wear a helmet.
14, yeah.
You have to wear a helmet on every on a bike as well. The question from me is the amount of doctors and emergency room staff that are crying for something to be done because they're seeing young people showing up with sometimes catastrophic injuries. Do you feel there's foot dragging going on here as we have the the situation's sort of growing where these are becoming so popular, but there's just no enforcement, and it's a real gray area still.
Yeah, that's true. Like helmet use age restrictions, sidewalk riding, and modified e-bikes, it has become an issue. People are modifying them. And I fully agree with you. Kids, that has been, Steve Ferguson has had this conversation with me, local councillor in the township of Langley. And that's why I was interested in coming on here, because we've rolled out these pilot programs. We should have the rules progress as we get that knowledge coming in. And as you mentioned, a lot of doctors and a lot of people are worried about the uptake of visits to hospitals with this. So that is a great point there.
Well, we're talking to Harman Bangu. He is with the BC Conservatives. He's the transportation critic. This texter at 71010 says, lol, bike lanes in Victoria, still the Wild West. We don't need more rules. Just give people a chance to do the considerate thing like use an escalator standing off to the right side. Or if you're using an escalator standing off to the right side. I hear you, texter, but I do think that, with there being some rules, they're not being enforced necessarily. Like there's a few questions about, how do we get people wearing helmets? How do we get people to use the right speeds on these things that are going faster than are permitted? Lots of questions still. I appreciate you weighing in, though. Much appreciated. And we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for having me on, and good morning to the listeners.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a conversation I'm sure we'll be having more this summer as we continue to get people asking for the topic. But right now, we're going to take a break. We got the 8 o'clock news coming up, and then we're going to give away our tickets to Spamalot. Stay with us.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:01 on Tuesday, August the 11th. Another mostly sunny day today for Victoria right now. The temperature at the Victoria International Airport is 14 degrees. Full forecast to come right now. The news begins with Lisa Best.
Heartbroken Okanagan area officials have told wildfire evacuees to brace themselves and prepare for the level of destruction that they're going to find following the deadly blaze in the southern interior. That out-of-control Bald Range fire is still burning on the outskirts of Summerland, yesterday moving away from town. But the mayor has told the 12,000 residents they must stay patient until it is safe to return because the damage may be extensive.
We're not going to be going home anytime soon. We're putting the plan into place so that we can get back home when it's safe. So we'll be organized and we'll know what we're doing. But the fire is still out of control, and we can't start that process until that fire gets under control.
The blaze on the western shores of the BC's of Okanagan Lake is now ranged at 156,000 square kilometers in size. Make that 156 square kilometers, not 1,000. Summerlin Mayor Doug Holmes will be live on CFAX at 8:50 with the latest update in the community and how the evacuees are coping. Some people scrambled to safety, later realized that their homes or properties had been destroyed. Some of the accounts of those who escaped are trickling in. Dana Joint was at her granddaughter's birthday party Friday when the fire rolled into Falder, which is just west of Summerlin. She said the scene was chaotic. Her partner and brother decided to stay and fight the blaze. She said she tangled with police for, quote, holding things up. As they tried to enforce the evacuation order, she said she was briefly handcuffed and even pepper sprayed. Eventually, she said she drove out on her own, surrounded by flames. She said the van was scorched, melted a tire. She hit a truck, but she kept going. There was no one around. She said she got the kids in the vehicle out the best she could. Joyce says her daughter and 2 grandchildren were taken out by helicopter, and she credited her boyfriend and brother for using hoses to save their homes and about 4 others in the community of Falder. To Colombia now, where more than 100 people have died and after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake rocked the western part of the country on Monday. The country's president has declared a national disaster, with destruction reported in multiple cities.
Buildings collapsing, people heard screaming and seen running amid the violent shaking. Colombia's Geological Survey says this is the strongest earthquake recorded in the country in the last decade. The death toll growing, children reported among the dead. More than 1,600 homes damaged or destroyed, according to Colombia's president. First responders urgently searching for people trapped under the rubble.
In Puerto Rico, the state of emergency on that island nation is intensifying. Thousands of people, including across the capital of San Juan, have to go without running water for 2 days at a time under a mandatory rationing system. The island is facing a crippling drought, compounded by notoriously aging infrastructure.
This dog rescue without running water, already using reserve tanks.
It's hard because, when you open that faucet and it doesn't come out.
Further straining Puerto Rico's water supply, extreme heat, and roughly 1,000 raging wildfires. It's the latest crisis for an island plagued by rolling blackouts and water shutoffs since 2017, when Hurricane Maria killed nearly 3,000 people and devastated the power grid.
And speaking of using power and water, data centers are driving a massive construction boom, but some communities are, of course, not happy about it. Communities complain of massive spikes in energy bills as well as noise pollution. There are concerns about how much water the data centers are using to cool the equipment. Frank Wiley is Assistant Director of the Global Energy Center of the Atlantic Council. Speaking to ABC, Wiley says companies building data centers need to be transparent and have deep conversations with communities first.
Really, electricity bills are rising for reasons that are not only related to data centers. Also, we're looking at a lot of industrial manufacturing capacity expansion and electrification of various parts of the economy.
And that is your news to 8:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question: do you have enough insurance coverage to replace your home if it were destroyed in a natural disaster? 63% say yes, 6% no, and 31% don't really know. You can vote at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:07.
Thank you, Lisa. We've got a day that is going to be sunny. It's going to be about the same temperatures yesterday. 22 is a high, a little humidity. Right now sitting at 14. I'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Also, heads up, we're going to give away Spam-A-Lot tickets in just a few minutes, so get ready to call 250-386-1161. But here's the thing. If you're the lucky caller who gets through, you've still got to do something. You've got to perform a little bit of a Monty Python sketch for us.
Get those pipes in order.
And if you do, you'll get the Spam-A-Lot tickets, so we'll tell you all about it in just a second. Right now, over to CFAX 1070 Sports. Let's start with the world of baseball. Actually, a confusing play in the seventh inning saw the Red Sox score on an inning-ending double play, but the Toronto Blue Jays still held on for a 2-1 win over the Boston Red Sox. Blue Jays manager John Schneider says he did not appeal the play because the home plate umpire initially waved off the run, and then when the run was made official, their appeal could not be made at that point.
Everyone was obviously affected by the call on the field of no run, so we didn't have any kind of countermeasure to that. So it was tough, but it's a play you don't see very often, if at all. And I'm just glad we got out with the win.
The win helps the Blue Jays keep their playoff hopes alive as they moved ahead of the idle Seattle Mariners in the American League wild card chase. Toronto now 3 games back of the third and final wildcard berth. For the world of soccer, Vancouver Whitecaps wrap up League's Cup play tonight near Monterrey, Mexico. The Whitecaps, with 2 earlier Phase 1 losses, are at a point where they're not going to advance no matter what happens tonight. But they're playing Mexican pro club Tigres UANL, and they still have a chance to advance to the knockout bracket. So there is something on the line, just not for the Whitecaps. We've had some rain cancellations at last night's National Bank Open, the Montreal part of it. So it's going to be a busy day today, catching up on all 4 quarterfinal matches scheduled to squeeze into the day. On the men's side and in the women's side, the final 2 singles quarterfinal matches we played tonight in Toronto. 4th-seeded American Coco Gauff plays Belinda Bencic of Switzerland in the first match, while 2nd-seeded Elena Rybakina faces 11th-seeded Naomi Osaka of Japan. And that's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It's 8:09. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Fortis, BC. Gas main work. Langford Parkway near Langford Lake Road. That's still a thing. They got a detour, though, set up, so you should be able to get around it. This is just ongoing work that'll be happening for quite a while, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. No other problems on the roads. You might see a little white smoke emerging from manhole covers in the Rock Bay neighborhood. They're doing that smoke testing again. City service crews in the Rock Bay neighborhood. So don't be alarmed if you see the white smoke. And for the BC Ferries, no sailing waits right now. 9 o'clock sailing still has lots of room left. The weather forecast is very stable, mostly just sunny skies for the next few days. High temperatures in the low 20s. Overnight lows anywhere between 14 and 12 degrees, kind of in that range. A little cooler by the water, still a bit of breeze off the Juan de Fuca Strait most days, which is just kind of the typical day. A bit of humidity as well, though. So just like yesterday, by the afternoon, it kind of felt a little muggy, a little extra hot. That's going to be the situation again today. And there's some extra cloud tonight into tomorrow morning that then clears up later into the day tomorrow, but that'll be a blip, a bit different than what we've been seeing. But otherwise, yeah, very stable weather. Just carrying on here in Victoria. Don't worry, we're giving away the Spam-A-Lot tickets in just a moment. just got to get through the business news. What's happening on the markets? S&P TSX in Toronto up 120 to 36,578. The Dow is up 16 to 53,992. NASDAQ up 23 to 26,629. And the Canadian dollar at 71.8 cents U.S.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Give us your best attempt at a Monty Python sketch. If you do, you'll get 2 tickets to see Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot, which is coming from the folks at Broadway in Victoria. They bring these incredible shows. The quality of these shows are great. Yeah. And this latest one, Royal Theatre, August 28th to the 30th, coming up pretty soon. Tickets are on sale now. I know we're giving them away. Hopefully you win them, but if you don't, you can buy them still.
Well, you can. I mean, you don't have to go to New York City to see the show, which is great.
Which is wonderful. Okay, I've gone to the phone line. I've picked a random caller at 250-386-1161. Who's this?
This is Tony.
Tony?
Hi, Tony.
Would you like to be our second contestant?
I would like to be any contestant.
Okay. Well, we had Liz on the line yesterday. She knocked it out of the park. Do you have a Monty Python sketch you would like to perform for us right now?
I do.
Okay. Well, in your own time, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Which one was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, this isn't my nose. It's a false one. Well, we did do the nose and the hat. She's a witch. Burn her. Do you dress her like this? No. Yes, a bit. Well, she's got a wart. What makes you think she's a witch? Well, she turned me into a newt. A newt? I got better. Burn her anyway, burn her.
Well, I got better.
Applause.
Yeah, there we go.
It's hard to do and a crowd.
I enjoyed that one because that actually is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is what Spam-A-Lot is based off of. So you tied it in nicely.
Excellent. Oh, my God.
How'd that feel?
It's wonderful.
A lot of pressure, right?
Well, you are going to see the musical. Are you a big Monty Python fan? Is this something that you've always been into?
Always. We even dressed up as it in junior high, and we did skits when the McDonald's opened up in Pandora for the first time.
Oh, wow.
We did some skits there, and
really?
The Lumberjack song, the whole thing.
Oh, I love it. One thing I like. You might have had the same experience as me, like long before the internet, just being able to look up, YouTube clips of something you liked. I found there was a way more emphasis on performing these things with your friends in the schoolyard or, like you said, at the McDonald's or whatever. Because if you wanted to recreate those moments, you couldn't just go find a clip of it. You had to kind of do it yourself. And I love that there was that culture of, performing things like a Monty Python sketch with your friends, or maybe it was a Simpsons, a moment or whatever it was. It's kind of fun to relive that here.
Yeah. That's the only way you could remember and tell it, what happened. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Well, hang on the line. I'm going to get your information off the air to make sure you get your tickets. But thank you so much for participating. For everybody who called and didn't get through, don't worry. We're doing it again tomorrow. Same time, same prize, but same deal. You got to perform the sketch. Love it. Okay, Lisa, what's going on in the news?
Saanich receiving $600,000 from the federal government towards its asset management software implementation project. The community is moving into a new digital software system that centralizes asset data, integrates technical and financial information, and supports information sharing and reporting. Workers up in Duncan at a newspaper ready to hit the picket line on Thursday. Employees at the Cowichan Valley Citizen say they'll begin limited strike action after months of bargaining between their union and Black Press failed to hammer out a new agreement. The union says health benefits, wages, and changes to sales commissions are the main sticking points. Members of the Victoria-Vancouver Island Newspaper Guild says they were offered annual wage hikes of 2% for some employees, but not for sales staff. The BC Wildfire Service says it has adequately staffed but faces a monumental task in the fight against the raging wildfire in the province's Okanagan. A spokesperson for the firefighters say they're facing steep terrain, hot conditions, and outbreaks beyond the perimeter of the Bald Range fire are being triggered by spotting. Some sparks are flying a kilometer ahead of the fire. This is limiting opportunities for direct attacks on the blaze that now covers 156 square kilometers. And it also caused the death of a senior in Meadow Valley as she was trying to escape the flames. The fire has forced the evacuation of some 20,000 people, including 12,000 from Summerland. And we do know that some buildings have been destroyed. We haven't had a full scope of the damage. We're going to hear more from the mayor of Summerland. Doug Holmes will be live on CFAX at 8:50. And prior to that, BC's Agriculture Minister Lana Popham will be up in a few minutes' time at 8:20 to talk about fires, how the wildfires are affecting Okanagan farmers in the area and how they'll move forward. The only person to ever break the sound barrier with a vehicle is going to try to beat his own mark today. British driver Andy Green has set the land speed record for a diesel-powered car 20 years ago, reaching over 563 kilometers per hour at Utah's famous Bonneville Salt Flats. He'll be returning to the Lunar Lake landscape today with a hydrogen-powered vehicle to try to break his own record. And that is your news to 8:18.
Thank you, Lisa. We are going to be continuing our coverage with the BC wildfire situation. Drastic scenes being reported out of Summerland with properties destroyed. We, of course, have a much larger set of impacts. We've been talking a lot about the human impact, which is, of course, the first thing you think about. But what about, other things like agriculture? It's farms that are burning down in some cases. So we're going to be talking to the Agriculture Minister, Lana Popham, about that side of the story coming up next. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. Things are looking fairly light on the West Shore commute into Victoria. Just the usual slowdowns as you go through the construction zone on the Trans-Canada Highway through the bus widening project. Pat Bay Highway, Malahat, all looking clear. And the gas main installation work continues along Langford Parkway by Langford Lake Road. In the weather forecast, mainly sunny today. A little breeze off the Wandafuka Strait, as is typical. Highs of 22 degrees, a little cooler by the water, and a humidex of 25. We're getting a little cloudier tonight, but it doesn't last. By tomorrow afternoon, we should be back into some sunshine. And tonight, the overnight lows are down to 14.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, it's hard to say how many BC farmers have been affected by wildfires right now, including fires like the Bald Range Fire, which has been so devastating in Summerland. Actually, we were talking to the BC wine growers earlier in the show, and they mentioned the same thing. They know that there's wineries being affected, but they don't really have a great sense of exactly who or how much, because it's all happening right now, it's hard to assess. But still, one thing we do know is that agriculture is being affected by the fires. It's one of the effects. And we wanted to tap into that right now with BC's Agriculture Minister, Lana Popham, who's joining us on the line. Hello, how are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, wanted to get a sense from you just what the BC government is hearing and, aware of when it comes to farms and agriculture. I was reading an article just this morning about a fellow in the Summerland area who had a mushroom farm that went up in flames. And there's just one story that I'm sure is playing out in a number of different ways.
Yeah, it is a very tough season. Currently, there's about 270 farms that are registered under a program we call Premises ID that is currently impacted by the wildfire activity. That doesn't mean that they are being evacuated, but they are under either alert or they're evacuated. So about 150 farms are evacuated, and unfortunately that means that there's about 50,000 animals that are being impacted as well. That doesn't mean they're in the fires. It just means they could be in danger. So that's a lot of animals out there on the range, out on Crown land, mostly cattle when we talk about animals being out and about. But there's also the types of farming that we all know, which is, chickens in pens, etc., or else there's farmings that have vegetables and fruit. Right now it's peach season up in the Okanagan. They were just about to start picking last week when the fires happened around Penticton, and so they're now pulled out of their orchard. They use workers that help them from Mexico, so all of those workers are now displaced and being cared for in care centers. But it is a very huge disruption, and in many, many cases, it's very devastating.
You mentioned the animals, yeah, because I can imagine there's all these processes for the people. If fire's coming, the people evacuate, but it's a little trickier to get the cattle out. What kind of processes are in place to deal with that?
Well, that's interesting because when we first became government in 2017, we basically were sworn in during a very difficult fire season. And I started at that time working with a brand new general manager. His name's Kevin Boone, and he's the general manager of the BC Cattlemen's Association. And he and I, over the years, have kept in very close contact during emergencies like this. And we both knew that there was some gaps in 2017 around how to coordinate any of the rescues or even just communication between the ranchers and the government. And in 2021, a very unique program was established in partnership with government and the BC Cattlemen, and it's called the Range Riders Program. And so these are folks that either have ranches of their own, but most importantly, they're very familiar with the backcountry, so our Crown land areas where cows go out and graze over the summer. They're very, very knowledgeable about the behavior of cattle, and so when a fire is coming towards a ranch, they have the ability to be engaged at that moment, and they go out on horseback or all-terrain vehicle of some sort, and they go and they guide the cattle into safe havens. And so this has saved thousands of livestock since 2021, and it's probably the reason why we haven't had mass mortalities. And so we value this program a lot, and I've been in contact with him as late as yesterday, and we've just had a very, very interesting situation where we've had 1,500 cattle who were in an evacuation zone moved in coordination with the cattlemen, the range riders, and the government and levels of local government, moved in 24 hours. If you think about moving 1,500 cattle in 24 hours into a safe spot, that is a massive feat. So there's stories like that I think should people hope that there's a lot of great things going on the ground because people have so much courage out there right now, and they're very focused on making sure, of course, loss of human life, we're avoiding that. That's the highest priority. But for the ranchers and the farmers, for the Ministry of Agriculture, we're highly focused on making sure those animals are also safe. When those cattle get moved, we try and match them up. It's like a matchmaking system with buddy farms, and many cattle now are residing on buddy farms until they're able to go back to their own ranches.
Lana, it's a disturbing trend. I'm thinking when you're talking about this, I'm thinking about the livestock that we lost in the flooding that we had in the Abbotsford area recently. Are we getting better at this? It seems like we are. Based on the program that you have in place, we're getting better at saving animals from natural disasters.
Well, yeah, and the range riders can also work during flooding, which is great. Floodings they're a little bit of a different beast, but they can also work during those times. I think we've mostly been able to identify the gaps when people are needing help. The problem is that these fires are becoming a little bit more unpredictable. So there's areas, of course, right now that are burning very quickly, and it's hard to get anybody in to help. The one interesting thing about cattle is that instinctively they're very good at finding safe places. They're very good at moving away from fires. Floods are a different situation, but they're good at doing that. And when people say, how many have we lost, we often can't answer that question because we don't know till sometimes as late as November. So cows go out in the spring from their home ranches. They go out and graze in our crown areas. And then as soon as they get a hint of winter, they start turning around on their own to go back home. They go back to their home ranches when that weather changes. And sometimes these cattle in the middle of a disaster, they've found a place where they can get feed and they can get water, and they just hang out there until it's time to go home. And so over the years, I have heard really amazing stories where one day the rancher will just start to see cattle coming down the road that they thought they lost. So we're hoping to see situations like that again this year. But I would say the coordination and the programming, it's smoother. There's much better relationships between the farmers and the Ministry of Agriculture and local government. We've established agricultural liaisons that actually get installed into emergency operations centers. And so there's always an agricultural lens now with every emergency that happens out where their agriculture is happening.
And just one quick question. You have an update coming at 11 with your counterparts about the wildfire and drought conditions. Can you give us a preview of what we can expect at that press conference?
You know what? I'm focused on the agricultural side, and so I'm getting an update actually just after this call on what's happening on the ground. So I'll be finding out not far before you.
Okay, we're with you.
Yeah.
Lana Popham is BC's Agriculture Minister. Thank you so much for sharing some of those stories. It's interesting to hear about the cattle and some of the really interesting things that happen, and the people involved in keeping them safe. So
yeah, we'll talk again. Hopefully, we'll have some good news stories in a couple months.
All right. Well, hey, we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
8:30 news coming up next on CFAX 1070. Stand by. Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot coming to the Royal Theatre this month. And CFAX wants to send you, lovingly ripped off from the film classic Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the Tony Award-winning Spam-A-Lot has everything you need for a great night at the theater. Flying cows, killer rabbits, rubbery shrubbery, and of course, the Lady of the Lake. Listen to Mornings with Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070 for your chance to win a pair of tickets. Details at cfax1070.com.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
.32, it's Tuesday, August the 11th, and we've got another sunny day with temperatures up to 22 degrees. Right now, it is 16. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you and good morning. We begin with the wildfire situation here in this province. Canada's National Defence Minister says the military is ready to assist in the wildfire situation if BC makes the request. The comments come as thousands forced to evacuate in the Summerland area, some 12,000 residents now at a home. That's due to the Bald Range wildfire that grew over the weekend, triggering the provincial state of emergency that came out of the weekend as well. Dave McGuinty says the BC government has made the request for assistance to the Federal Ministry of Emergency Management, but has not yet asked for military help.
Canadian Armed Forces are on standby, are in direct, constant contact with our Government Operations Centre, our emergency preparedness folks, the BC government, their officials. So we have not yet received a formal request for assistance directed from emergency preparedness to the Canadian Armed Forces.
BC Emergency Management Minister Kelly Green says the current request for federal aid involves securing accommodations for evacuees, especially in the Summerland area. The province has secured 1,000 rooms for people who are escaping the fires, and more will become available as blocks of rooms are freed up. We're going to have an update at 11 o'clock from the BC Legislature on the fire and drought conditions across the province. We'll bring you the latest of that as it's available. The owner of a mushroom farm in Sutherland says that wildfire, the Bald Range wildfire that triggered the evacuation, destroyed his farm, but it spared his house. Brian Callow says he stayed on the property for as long as he could, and the fire somehow spared his home, but it burned down every other structure on the land. Callow says that he's seen support from friends and family, including students that work on his farm, some who sent money with no strings attached to help with the restart.
We lost everything, and everyone's there to support us. I just don't even know what it is yet. We obviously want to try to rebuild, but there's nothing left, and I don't know how we're going to do it yet.
Brian adds he's grateful that his house was spared because it means his 2 children can still grow up in the home that they know. A new ban on off-road vehicles on Crown lands across parts of BC is now in effect to help reduce the risk of more fires. Forest Minister Ravi Parmar says all-terrain vehicles, motorcycles, and all off-road side-by-sides are the focus.
Right now, for recreational reasons, these activities can cause fires. And so we know that we are in the midst of a very challenging wildfire situation here in British Columbia. August is the month where people are reclamating the most and going out and enjoying the beauty that British Columbia has to offer. But we would ask in the case of the Kamloops Fire Centre, the Southeast Fire Centre, and the appropriate parts of the Coastal and Caribou Fire Centre, the British Columbians don't use those recreational vehicles.
The ban includes the Coastal Fire Centre, but there are some exceptions here on Vancouver Island. Best to check locally before you head out in the wilderness. And BC's deficit has come in slightly lower than expected. Finance Minister Brenda Bailey sharing the numbers yesterday.
The province ended fiscal year 2025-26 with an annual operating deficit of $7.7 billion, which is less than the budgeted number of $10.9 billion. Our debt to GDP ratio ended the fiscal year at 26.3. In sum, revenues are going up, expenses are coming down somewhat, and our deficit is lower than projected.
The province says revenues were higher than projected due to the $2.6 billion tobacco settlement and higher net income at ICBC. Overall spending was $344 million lower than projected. And that's your news to 8:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you have enough insurance coverage to replace your home if it were destroyed in a natural disaster? 61% say yes, 8% no, and 31% say they don't know. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, Twitter X, and also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:37.
Thanks, Lisa. 8:37. Oh, you just said that.
Just in case you're late, it's 8:37. Almost
Nope.
8:38.
Well, yeah, if I wait 8 seconds, I can have a
Sing
new number.
Actually going to do it.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 8:38.
Ryan's amusing himself.
And it's 16 degrees. We got a mix of sun and cloud. It's going to be on the sunnier side today. We'll tell you the full forecast in just a moment, but right now, let's talk sports. The Toronto Blue Jays continue their playoff push tonight against the visiting Boston Red Sox. Toronto has won 4 of its last 6. They're 3.5 games back of the wild card spot after taking last night's series opener against the Red Sox 2-1. Right-hander Dylan Cease will start for the Jays against the Boston Red Sox tonight. No Seattle Mariners action. They were off tonight. In tennis, 2 spots in the National Bank Open semifinals up for grabs in Toronto. Kazakhstan's Elena Rabanaki faces Japan's Naomi Osaka, while American Coco Gauff meets Switzerland's Belinda Bencic. The winner advances to tomorrow's semifinals as that all continues. Although on the men's side, it's a bit more chaotic because weather created a bunch of delays yesterday. So all of the men's quarterfinal action has been pushed to today at the National Bank Open in Montreal. Multiple reports say CF Montreal has signed Chilean soccer legend Alexis Sanchez, the 37-year-old former Arsenal, Barcelona, and Manchester United forward, is Chile's all-time score leader in goals and appearances. Sanchez will join a Montreal club that sits second last in the MLS Eastern Conference, and it's riding a 7-game winless streak. So that's what's happening with Montreal. Let's talk Vancouver Whitecaps since we're talking MLS. They're going to wrap up their League's Cup campaign tonight against the Mexican powerhouse Tigres near Monterrey. The tournament pits clubs from the Major League Soccer League against teams from Mexico's Liga MX. Vancouver already lost its first 2 Phase 1 matches, and with that, they've already been eliminated. So Whitecaps, it's not going to matter what happens for them. Although the Tigres team still has a chance to advance to the knockout round, depending on how tonight's game goes. That's your CFAX Sports. It's 8:40. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, it's still looking very good. No crashes, no incidents like that to report. You can text me at 71010 if you do see anything. We have fairly light volume from the West Shore into Victoria continuing. It's been kind of like that all day. We got lucky with this commute so far. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it stays that way. And for the BC Ferries, the 9 o'clock sailing from Swartz Bay to Swassen, about 80% full, still some room left there, and it's leaving in less than 20 minutes. Let's dig into the weather forecast. The whole next 7 days looks like this. Mainly sunny. Temperatures around about 22 degrees. Overnight lows tonight will be 14. We could go as cold as 12 degrees over the next few days, but kind of in that range. A little breeze off the Wandafuka Strait will continue. Continued humidity at times, like today, it's a humidex of 25. Even though it's 22 degrees, it's going to feel like 25 degrees. But then it's going to be cooler by the water, and that's also going to be the same for the next few days. So it's just kind of the same forecast continuing. We will see a little extra cloud, though, tonight and into the morning tomorrow. Then it goes away. But, yeah, that's the only real blip is slightly more overcast conditions just for a bit tonight and tomorrow morning. Right now, for the temperatures, if you are in downtown Victoria, it is 18 degrees. At the Victoria International Airport, the official temperature is 16 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto up 87 to 36,546. The Dow is down 24 to 53,951. NASDAQ is down 47, 26,558. Canadian dollar at 71.8 cents US. That's pretty much where it's been all morning. And it is a little up from yesterday's close, a fraction of a cent.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, we've almost got to $17,000 now as the jackpot for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50. We started the morning just under $16,000, so that's a fantastic morning. Thank you so much to everybody who went out and bought a ticket today. You can do that by going to cfaxsantas.com or cfax1070.com. Either of the websites will do. You click on the big button that says Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50. You can buy a ticket. And,
So the big question right now is who's got $5?
I know we only need $5.
It's at $16,995.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're almost at $17,000. The winner walks home with half. This is a 50-50. And then the other half goes to the Kids Count program, which is how CFAX Santa's Anonymous helps children in the community beyond Christmas. Things like, and we had Christine Goodsir from CFAX Santa's Anonymous on the radio a little earlier today, mentioning that a lot of this money will go towards food programs. Because when kids are outside of the school, like summer or Christmas or spring break, those periods of time where there aren't these school food programs to help out, families can struggle with that extra food cost.
Of course.
And that's one of the places that we come to help. So there you go.
We talk about fresh food, too, because you probably know going down the produce aisle, the sticker shock you get when you look at things like grapes and raspberries and apples. Because I know I do too. So a lot of families just bypass these sections of the grocery store because it's cost prohibitive for them. That they got to put food on the table. So this fills in the gaps and keeps kids healthier.
Mega Summer 50-50. It's a way you can help and maybe win a bunch of money. I want to read another text, Lisa. I love this one. Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. Holy smokes, I finally figured out how to get your YouTube channel on my TV this morning. And wow, the view of Victoria is amazing. I have to get used to the quality of the picture, though, because you guys look like you're sitting in my living room having coffee with me.
Maybe we are.
Have a
Maybe
great
we're gently creeping you. What?
Texter, I'm so glad you found that. I hope other people will find it, too, because this radio show, we do put it on YouTube. In fact, the whole day's on YouTube, but only for the morning show do we have the fancy cameras that show Lisa and I hanging out here. So let's hang out in your living room, too.
We do have coffee.
We do, actually.
So if you're pouring, we'll take.
I'm empty, though, right now, so I'm going to have to fill up.
Oh, dear.
YouTube, do like and subscribe if you find us there. Now over to the headlines. It's 8:45. Here's Lisa.
The latest from the Okanagan RCMP launching a criminal investigation into the cause of that deadly fire that erupted on Friday. The fire exploded within hours of first being detected west of Okanagan Lake Friday afternoon. It has since forced the evacuation of more than 20,000 people, including 12,000 from Sutherland, which apparently sustained some extensive damage. The BC Wildfire Service says 100 firefighters from Mexico are expected to arrive today to join in the fight against that bald range wildfire that has consumed 156 square kilometers of land. That's one of just over 100 fires burning in the province. The one fire we have on the island is the fire that was detected on late July, around July 23rd. That one is holding at about 6 square hectares in size, and it's considered being held, and that's the sole fire that we have burning on Vancouver Island today. Elections Canada estimates the by-elections this year costing us $24 million. This as we replace several departing MPs. The agency says that while the cost of holding by-elections can vary, a single by-election costs about $2 million a pop. Carleton University political science professor Jonathan Malloy suspects the high number of MP resignations is linked to the people being caught off guard by the 2025 election. And a report says the U.S. president actually used an airport catering truck as cover to secretly board a smaller U.S. military aircraft, while the older Air Force One served as a decoy while he left the NATO summit in Turkey last month. The Washington Post, citing an official and reviewed materials, says the decision happened during what intelligence officials described as a credible Iranian threat against the president. Trump had arrived in Ankara on July 8th aboard a new Boeing 747-8 donated by Qatar, but security concerns led to officials switching planes and plans last minute on the tarmac. That's your news to 8:47.
Continuing our coverage of BC wildfires today, the mayor of Summerland is joining us on the line next with the latest for his community, which for the most part is displaced right now. What are they hearing this morning? We're going to find out more next, right after traffic and weather.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Experience Victoria Fringe Fest, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX traffic and weather. By the way, the morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort. South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, still fairly typical out there. It's very lighter than usual volume delays out of the West Shore into Victoria. We still have that Fortis BC gas main work, Langford Parkway, near the Langford Lake Road intersection there. But they've got a detour that seems to be working pretty well, according to texters this morning. So good to hear that things are still flowing there. And for the weather forecast today, we've got mainly sunny skies, a little cooler by the water with some wind blowing off the Juanita Strait, mostly in the afternoon hours. Highs to 22 degrees, a humidex at 25, and overnight lows of 14 with some clouds rolling in tonight, lasting through tomorrow morning, but then clearing up for the afternoon.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Continuing coverage of the wildfires in BC that have caused a state of emergency in the province, and of course the evacuation of thousands of people from the community around Summerland in the Okanagan, with the Bald Range wildfire still raging. The mayor of Summerland, Doug Holmes, is joining us on the line to share some stories and the latest on what his community is dealing with. Doug Holmes, thank you, and much appreciated for you joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Where are you this morning? And I know a lot of your community have found themselves in various other places around the Okanagan evacuated. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Penticton, which most of us are in Penticton, which is just south of Summerland, down at the bottom of the lake. And most of the highway, when the evacuation notice for the whole town went out on Friday night, the fire had already closed off the highway to the north, so the only option was to go south towards Penticton.
Wow. How are you holding up?
No, I'm fine. My focus is on the community and making sure that we get everything in place to be able to go home.
We had a news conference last night. You were there, the RCMP, some other officials as well, giving us an update on the situation. What can you share with us about what's the latest in this, and as your community tries to deal with it and officials try to deal with the ongoing fire?
Yeah, BC Wildfire Service was there, who gave, I guess, really good details on the situation on the ground. The fire is still out of control. It is still spreading, though not at the pace it was initially, which is good. And it is still burning within Summerland in different places, and actually spreading in different places in Summerland. So, and there's spot fires all over. Like, for example, our landfill is on fire, which causes. It creates some unique challenges because you can't just go dump a plant full of water on a landfill.
Wow. And there was another thing that came out of last night's news conference. The RCMP were talking about this, just talking about the cause of the fire, still under investigation, and the fact that, there's some social media starting to go around. People are looking for something to blame, someone to blame, and there's some erroneous kind of accusations floating around. Could you talk a bit about that, the misinformation, but also, how people are feeling and what's leading to this?
Yeah, I guess there was, some information going around on social media, which the RCMP investigated, and so the person that was kind of being accused, they cleared that it wasn't, that this person didn't start the fire, but they could be a potential witness, and so that's just led them to investigate the actual cause of the fire, because there was no lightning at the time, and it was calm, and so I guess they're investigating, and you have to, they're asking people, anybody who was in that area at the time who may have seen anything, to come forward. So they're doing their investigation.
I guess that's sort of a sign, though, of like frustration and anger and all the different emotions that people must be feeling as you're out of your home, wondering and watching and hoping that your property isn't gone.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to just provide the most accurate information at all, and clear up any misconceptions. Like, there was a rumor on social media going around that our post office had burnt down, which isn't correct at all. Downtown is completely intact, so the fire didn't come into downtown. So you just it's hard to stay ahead of social media.
Yeah.
It's the latest thing that you have to do. It's the last thing you should have to be dealing with right now. Doug, we really feel for you and your community. And I've been listening to your interviews over the past few days, because you're kind of at loose ends. You're out of community and you're trying to help people. So the best thing you can do is get the word out. But I can hear it in your voice that you're bracing yourself and you're bracing your community for what's coming next. Because Summerland has taken a direct hit here.
Yeah, we know structures have been lost. We're not able to get into the community to go around and do a tally on what specific structures have been lost and what homes have been lost, and to be able to tell people. And I think people are kind of frustrated by that, but it is still an active fire zone, and they're still putting fires, so we can't have people going around town, counting burnt down buildings. It's the BC Wildfire Service won't allow that. So. But people do. People have heard that they've lost their homes, and what I'm saying is that we're not going to go back to the same Summerland. It's going to be a really challenge, because everybody will know somebody who has lost a home. I know people already who know they've lost their homes, and it's going to be really traumatic. And we have to brace ourselves for that and help each other get through it, because it's going to be a really difficult time.
We're very sorry for your loss, and we're feeling for you, and we'll give you the support that we can from Vancouver Island. Do you know of people that fought to stay behind to protect their homes?
There are people who remained in the community, and they're not being forced to leave, but they are being told not to be wandering around the community, because that'll get away with from the firefighters. So you can't. It's hard to force people to leave, but people can't go back in. The RCMP are preventing people from returning into Summerland.
Doug Holmes is the mayor of Summerland, where thousands of people have been displaced by the Bald Range wildfire. And as you mentioned, it's not spreading quite as fast as it has been, but it's still an active situation. People are still out of their community. And our hearts and thoughts are with you. Doug Holmes, thank you so much for spending some of your time with us this morning. And best of luck, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, there you go. We'll continue to follow it, of course, here on CFAX 1070, as that is just, one of the wildfires we've been dealing with, but certainly one of the more dramatic escalations in this wildfire season has come over the last few days and has caused us to enter this BC state of emergency, and we'll continue to follow it here. But that's all the time we have for this show today. There's so much more to come. Lisa's got your 9 o'clock news. We're going to be turning things over to Vashi Kapelos and a national outlook after that. So until tomorrow, have a wonderful day.